And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need any additions or subtractions from the agenda? If none, we'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Yes, sir. I gave you guys some additions and changes as you sat there with the revised bill amount. Adding the 908 Surrey Avenue fence issue or concern, and then our legend lawn care through September. So if we could have those additions to include those, that'd be great.
Also, Ms. Knipp would like to be removed from the agenda under personal appearances.
Yes.
Say what?
Also, personal appearances, number 1,
Yeah.
completely remove
Oh, okay.
by request.
Okay, so we'll do those.
I got a couple to add to the unfinished.
Unfinished.
The Diane lawsuit and the executive meeting stuff or whatever that we were talking about.
And the executive meeting.
Yeah, Andrew's gonna get back to us as far as whether we need to come back here and do a motion or whatever that was.
Okay. Move on to the minutes. Everyone read the minutes to the August 2nd city council meeting. And we can probably do the preliminary budget meeting at the same time. Does anyone have any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 2nd and August 6th.
We have a meeting on the floor, or motion on the floor by Twyla
I'll second it.
and second by Steve. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes. Financial reports, August financials. Anita, do you want to handle that?
Absolutely. Again, part of this was our addition changes was a revised bill total. So we had a few that came in today and those were printed out on here on the change sheet that I gave you guys. I did bring all of the invoices here as well. It was requested to have them all kind of copied out and printed out so you guys could see them better. And I think eventually that'd be a great idea. But the claims list in your packet does show you the vendors and all of the bills that we pay. You know, like 3D Specialties, it gives you the account that it's coming out of and then the dollar amounts. You know, AE2S goes down the line, batteries and bulbs, Bremer. You know, a lot of these are monthly bills that happen regularly, and a lot of them are things that the guys purchase, you know, equipment and whatnot they need. I know that bills from the highway department came in for the sidewalk this round, which were Ward County Ward County Highway Department. And then the Ward County election results also came in. So showing what that special election costs at about almost $18 a vote.
Do you still have a Bremer Bank credit card that you use?
There's a Bremer Bank card that everybody uses. Yep, yep, and the guys use it when they go to town. It would be nice to get everybody to invoice us, which we've been kind of working together on that because I like.
Have you ever talked to Perry about getting one to First International?
No, that's a good idea.
Because we
too.
get points for dollars that are used, and then we use them to buy gift cards for different things.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Just saying. Yep. And
yeah.
they send out a statement as well every month.
Just never got it switched. I know we did get, things switched, to do cards when Diane left here, but
Just nice to have everything at one place.
at one place. I do want to tell you guys too that, the mayor and I went up one morning and had, Friday the 13th, 13 geese cross in front of us. We went and pulled our stuff out of our safe deposit box that we had at Bremer. And Perry's gonna get us one at First and National, once we can collect what items are good items to be held in a safe deposit box. There was no cash, unfortunately. It was deeds and, easements and alleys and property, items.
Abstract.
Abstracts, yep. So just wanted to let you guys know we did that. Goal is to get it all in one location and not have it scattered.
I see the League of Cities. Did we already have that or was that just a bill for it?
It's next week.
It's,
next
yep,
week?
coming
Okay.
up here next
And it
Thursday.
was close.
Yep. So we're paying for it is what we're doing. Do
So,
you guys have any questions about these bills, that would need to be paid?
I just have one railroad management company, water line crossing.
I was just looking at that.
Yep.
too.
And that looks like it is a annual thing. I just got that one in today. Just try to make this process a little bit better for you guys, so you see what's happening as well. Railroad management, okay. So it's a license fee is what they got it listed as. From December 21 to November of 2022, it looks like we're paying an annual license fee. If you want me to check more into that, I can. 6-inch water pipeline, encroachment,
But they were already in the vendor list?
yes.
Okay.
And it looked like it'd been something that we'd definitely been paying for before, not something out of the ordinary.
Any further discussion on the financial reports?
Is this where you want to talk about the dumpster or later?
Later, please.
Okay.
It looks like you got your first payment from the ARPA money. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. We did get the federal grant money. First round of it. Still digging into what we're going to be able to use with that. But I went ahead and created a fund separately for that.
There should be a committee set up for that because I think by October 31st, they want some sort of plan. Like they'll want a copy of our entire budget and
They
then
want a report, yes.
some sort of plan.
So what it is it's American Rescue Plan Act that happened. And so cities were eligible for federal monies. We received $109,356.35 as our first installment. We'll get another installment next year. And so part of the League of Cities, which I'm excited to go to too, is going to have conference on things that money is going to be able to be made use of for.
So I'll make a motion to approve the bills to be paid and financial reports.
No, second it.
We have a motion by Councilman Johns and a second by Mr. Fenwald Any more discussion? Hearing none, voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Police report.
Well, good evening. As usual, I'll be brief so we can move right along. I've only got a couple things to bring up this evening. Officer Hill and I went down to Bismarck and appeared before the post board, and he got his license, so he is currently in FTO training at this time. That usually lasts between 10 and 12 weeks, depending how he does. So that's going on at this time. The new truck, as you can see, arrived about 3 weeks ago. Not so much for the equipment that goes in it. It's a supply and demand issue everywhere on certain items. So it's coming in piece by piece. So once we get all the equipment in, then we'll get it installed and get that part of it done. But it's like everything else right now. They can't give you timelines on a lot of it. So that's coming in. The only other thing I have this evening is in our policy manual, we have a 90-day probation period for new employees. I don't think that fits for the police department due to having a 10 to 12 week field training officer program, which eats up the 90 days before we even get him on the road on his own doing work, whoever it is, he or she. I can remember in the past when I was here, I think it was 6 months or a year. I would think 6 months would be more appropriate. And I know you've been in the process of reviewing some of the policies and procedures and also the ordinance and so forth. So that's something I'm bringing up this evening for the council to think about and whoever's on the committees to maybe look at the police department's request in a 6-month probation period for those reasons.
That makes sense.
Other than that, I don't have anything else. Things are going well.
He's been all over.
I've been busy.
He's been
Couple
busy.
of, I guess I do, and I'm glad Kim is here as well. As far as like the cow and the chickens out there, how is that going?
The cow has been removed.
That was removed?
Yes, sir. Yep, we got confirmation of that from the
What
property
about the
owner.
goats, the sick goats? The goats are gone? Hot dang.
Did they come in and renew like the chicken licenses or whatever? They didn't, so nobody did that.
Do they have chickens? They had like 10 or something. I thought they could have that.
Well, I don't know, because I guess I was thinking the cow thing, because there's really nothing there's nothing you can do if the cow was still there, and I guess I don't quite understand that. Is it because there's no fine on it?
Right. It would be county because it's extraterritorial area. So that would be county.
Okay. That makes sense. Then I guess we
Not
can talk to you
answering the
later.
question, who counts the chickens, so.
Somebody
Zoning
better
was
paint
still
their
working on
toenails
that,
so
right?
they don't get any more.
Yeah, the zoning was still working on addressing the chickens, correct? Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to speak to you later? Nope. Okay. We put Kim down at 6 under unfinished.
She's the chief chicken counter.
Yeah.
Hey, we found a title for you,
She's been
Kimmers.
deputized.
Oh,
If you don't have anything else, thank you.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Engineers report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. First thing is, Mayor Tolfson brought to our attention, reporting done by a concerned citizen, of the sidewalk project and some issues that they had. And Jason Strand did a pretty nice job going through and addressing a bunch of them in a memo. And, I don't think you got a lot of time with that today, probably. I think he did. Did you all get it first off?
Mhm.
Okay, as I know he dropped it off on his way from work today. So, you know, I looked through it and a lot of the stuff he answers pretty good. And you could certainly take a look at that and let me know if you have any additional questions to that. And then, you could see the, concrete's been poured now and they're working on their, black dirt and finish grading. They'll be working on seeding here soon, and then we'll have to, probably do a final walkthrough. Also, I know there are some, I think Jason's gonna meet tomorrow with, Sean from Strata and I'll look at a couple of the areas, of drainage and see if we can work on a couple of the spots. So he's got a plan to meet with Sean tomorrow. So, yeah, besides that, I think it's
I mean,
looking pretty nice. So,
I guess when Mr. Strand actually contacted me one day and I went around with him and addressed all the concerns that were on the memo that he received from the concerned citizen. I guess the part that bothered me, and I think maybe we messed up and there's really nothing we can do about it now, is the stuff in front of Rave Oak. Is that gonna work?
right.
I mean, as far as the extra,
The grading, Mr. Volk, I think, understands that the culvert and the culvert to the north of him is the culvert going under Fifth, and that one is, and the one to the north is higher. So it naturally, there's gonna be water sitting there. But are you talking about?
well,
we're
I guess
up at
my
right up at his
concern,
driveway?
well, not even his driveway. I can see where we're gonna have literally a 3-foot deal of water sitting in his front yard
Mhm.
in the corner if it really rains.
Okay,
Without, I can see it being there, and you're gonna hear something about some kid might come and drown or whatever, I don't know.
okay, so the north side where it crosses the street and then sits in that corner.
It'd be
there,
what, his
the culvert.
northwest part of his yard. I mean, it's gotta be at least 3 feet below that sidewalk.
The
Are you
the
talking right
bottom of
there?
the culvert,
Yeah.
Over there.
right?
I mean, it looks real nice where his nice black dirt all goes down, but I mean, I don't know. We could have fixed that is what I'm thinking at
Right.
the last meeting, and then we just, and now
Right.
it's too late.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think Strata did the best job sucking the sidewalk tighter there and trying to get as much slope as they can. I mean, I think we did, and those culvert extensions and things, I think we did what we could. You're right. It looks good, but yeah, the solution we tried to put together wasn't a real cheap one. But it, in the long run, probably would have fixed the grades out there and it made it better. But I guess when I looked at it, I thought that the contractor did as good a job as they could.
Oh,
do with
I
that
agree.
area,
I just know the way everything puddles around town, it could be a mess.
Well, isn't this
Those
just gonna wash
culverts have
away though?
Never drained,
Right, and that's
forever.
right. That's what we were talking about too. Is it's just that area has kind of been a pretty bad area for a long time. So
There's no, water doesn't ever seem to build up there.
right, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Volk either, but at our meeting, he didn't seem real concerned with it. You agree, Mr. Mayor? It didn't sound like he was, I mean, we kind of had mentioned that he knows that there's water that'll pond there. It just doesn't get out to the north, So, but yeah. So
I have a question about the
Yep.
height of the sidewalk along Fifth, like specifically in front of the church. To me, it seems like it's at least a foot lower than the road.
right.
I don't think that's standard practice, is it?
The-
Normally,
the road. I mean,
yeah, here's the road. and
Street.
right,
sidewalk
right.
down
But
here.
there would have been a lot more filling had to be done to raise it over the road. I think we talked about this. Didn't we talk about this when the project started too? That, I mean, this isn't your typical curb and gutter sidewalk section. This is kind of more of a rural section, street section, with no, just a ditch and asphalt edge. So there really isn't I wouldn't say there's a standard that it has to be a foot higher than the road.
No, I don't think it needs to be a foot higher than the road. My concern is that somebody comes around the corner on a slippery day and there's no curb to stop you and they're going right down into,
Right down
they're
there.
going down, not up. I guess I think that's
You
a
think
major
if it would've
liability
been
issue.
A little more of a ditch and it raised, and the sidewalk up higher. Yeah, I mean, but that could be, I mean, the sidewalk here too is pretty well level with the, I mean,
Yeah, level would be good. I'm saying it goes down.
down and right. I
Well, the
guess,
whole way along Pleasant's gonna be the same way.
It's fairly level along Pleasant, I thought.
It's a little, but
think
then
that
you
was just
got a
the- there was
huge
more of a
drop
ditch.
after the sidewalk. I
It's
mean, it is what
definitely
it
not
is.
the
That's
foot.
what free money gets you.
Like you can see the difference.
that, there was more of a ditch in that portion of the project too. There isn't so much of a ditch on Pleasant. And I think that's just kind of trying to keep it with the existing grade so much. Was what the intention of the design was.
So did the contractor follow the plans as provided, or
Yes.
like, so it was planned
Yep.
to be that much lower than the road?
Yep. Yep.
And then there's
I think
another
it's
concern,
hard
like
to
at the
clean
railroad
snow
tracks
on
over
some
there.
of that.
What's
You
that?
shove the snow off the road, your sidewalk is down in different places quite a bit lower. I kind of thought it was gonna be pretty much level with the road where you could shove it right off the road, right off the sidewalk, but
Yeah, I
No,
honestly,
it's-
that's gonna be a snow removal nightmare by the church.
I guess we kind of all assumed that it would be level, but it wasn't necessarily designed that way.
What was your other question?
My other question was over, coming across the railroad tracks, there's the box where, like one of the railroad employees would stop and check the terminal or whatever it
Okay.
is. So if there is somebody parked there, then basically the sidewalk is blocked, right?
I guess I haven't looked at that, but yeah, I suppose, I mean, it's just trying to sneak that sidewalk through there. We had to get an easement, it's gotta cross at 90, so you gotta come in, come out, and, so I guess that's, it could have been on the other side of the street, but I think there's one of those buildings on the other side of the street too, so.
I honestly think that along Fifth needs to be fixed. Needs to be raised. So I don't know if it just seems like a huge liability issue.
I don't think we can. I mean, I think the only way we fix it is if we rip it out and we pay for it.
The way it is right now is so unfunctional though. AJ, how is that gonna work for snow removal? It would have worked so much better if it was on the other side of the street and then all the snow went to that side and it ran down the culvert through the drainage and the way it should have been.
And I believe was the original, when Brent was here, I believe that's originally what he put together, was having it on the north side. But
Right, because the utilities are on the south side of the
Right.
road too. I mean,
know
that
that
was a
was
major,
big.
major. I'm not saying, I mean, you had to follow what the council at the time decided, but that was a major mistake. But I honestly think it needs to be raised up, so I don't know if we need to get a quote to see about ripping it out and bringing it to grade and then,
I'll bring it up to Brent and I'll bring it up to Strata and talk to them and we'll go from there.
I mean, if you're gonna rip that out, you might as well rip out the stuff by Ray's.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I agree, it's horrible there too, but
Carla, I guess you were on the last one when they approved, what do you got?
The reason why it was put on the south side of the road was to keep out people's front yards on the north side of the road. It was a decision that was made by the council at that time, to make it sense. Nothing was perfect. As usual, when you have choices to make with council, none of them are easy. Now, if you bring the level of the sidewalk up on the south side of the road by the church to match the street, now you're gonna be bringing everything from the church's side all the way up to that same level as well. What they have, where the sidewalk is right now, is level with the church's property.
no. No, what I'm saying is that the sidewalk is in front of the sidewalk's in front of a ton of residential houses along Pleasant Avenue. So at the time when it was approved, Actually,
Talking about
no,
the
you
south
don't.
side of the property by the church, that sidewalk is level with the church's property. So you're talking about.
there's still a
mounting-
ditch there.
Correct, but you're talking mounting it up
Mhm.
to the street level, which would mount it up on the church's property as well.
No, there'd still be a ditch there for drainage.
Yeah, but you're talking about raising the sidewalk up to the street level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the sidewalk isn't at the street level right now, correct?
No, it's a foot lower.
Okay, but it's level with the church lot, which is what the sidewalk is built upon. So you're talking about raising the church lot to get the sidewalk level with the street lot, even though there's a bit of a ditch between the two right there.
And I think a
Well, you
lot of.
try cleaning snow on that. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, it's creating more of a ditch, I guess, is what it would be, but at least you'd have a place to push the snow into.
I think the intent too was to try to keep it further away from the road. You know, you could have put it like we did over by Ray's, you know, there was no stipulations along Pleasant. The county wanted it, try to keep it, from the fog line, a certain distance off for safety, but on Fifth, there wasn't really those restrictions. But, if you were gonna try to keep it the same grade as the road, you'd probably only be able to have it a couple feet off the road, or else there would have been a lot more excessive grading in the area too, because the reason is a foot is because, there is a ditch there, more of a ditch, and then you get back up to those evergreen trees, and then it comes back up again. That's also, outside of the street right away and stuff too, so.
I'm just thinking in the spring when it's snowing and then melting and then freezing. I mean, you're gonna have,
Ooh,
in the morning, it's gonna be a skating rink, and in the afternoon,
Now, once
the kids
road
are
is
gonna
in.
be soaking wet.
you do feel that, the project was done according to approved specifications?
Yep.
For everything. So if we do want to make some changes, like Steve said, we're gonna have to pay for it ourselves.
Yeah, that's all, I would assume so, yeah.
Well, I would rather do that than hold the liability of a kid getting hit.
I do know there's been several times, like with funerals and stuff, where there's been a lot of parking along that street that people have gotten stuck in the ditch there. Way it is, the way it was before, and it'll still be that way now. But I guess right now, what do we have to approve what we have, being it was built up to the standard?
It's already,
Yeah, we're just talking about the project we haven't done a final walkthrough. I'm just giving you a report on what's going on for construction, so I don't think you have anything to.
Any more questions for the engineer?
No, I do think we need to remember this was grant money that we had to just give a certain lot of money from the city to. It was something that would never have been done if it wasn't a grant. And sometimes you have to accept what you have, and that's the way it's gonna be. I mean, it'd be great if it all was where it should be, but sometimes you just can't. I mean, the road's too small, the sidewalk's this, I mean, that's what it is. This is the city of Surrey. It's not like we got tons of money.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
yeah, we
Let's
just keep
see.
you posted, we always give them information as it goes too. Thanks.
Steve, did you have something on the Diane lawsuit that you wanted to?
Now
bring
that
up?
we're on Tyrell Kraft. Where you at here?
You said that you had
It's gonna
Diane.
go as number 4 under unfinished business.
Okay, we skipped the part.
So yeah,
So
number
we're
one
Tyrell
on
Kraft.
unfinished business.
Okay, I jumped too far down. Okay, Tyrell Kraft, is that something Kim had? You're Mr. Kraft? Oh, come and speak with us.
Yeah, I'd called Tyrell and invited him to come and give us an update on what he's got going on at his place, with the idea that we had originally approved a building permit for him to bring in have his home replaced and bring in a new home.
Yeah, that plan changed. Ended up moving the house out to Minot, so we're tearing down the house right now. We don't have much left, so. The plan is to tear it down, get the frame out, clean up the lot, and then sell it.
So you won't be moving another home in?
Nope.
How large is that lot? That's pretty good size, isn't it?
75 by 150, I think I measured.
It's a regular size
Yep.
residential lot.
How much you want for it? Property values at 30,000, so.
So yeah, you're tearing,
35.
tearing down your existing.
I've got $23 in my pocket.
So you're tearing down your existing
Oh, yeah,
and,
we're just about done with that.
and cleaning it all
Oh,
up,
yes, we are.
cleaning it all up.
So does it look better than the pictures that we
Yeah,
received
I-
right now?
I
haven't
was,
Driven by.
Steve Peterson called me and said, hey, Steve, you gotta come over and take a look at this. So I went over there whatever day it was, and I snapped some pictures because it's kind of been sitting like this for quite a while.
Yeah, I actually got updated photos, so.
Yeah, and now I drove by there, I want to say it was yesterday, and it's 90% better than what this thing is showing.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's awesome.
He's busting a move,
It's on
right?
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, I guess it's, you know, when it'll be done? I mean, soon?
I was told as of last week, I got 30 days. We honestly should have it done over the weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, the health department kind of cracked down.
Oh, yeah,
on-
they did.
Yeah, giving him 30 days to finalize
Mhm.
Is your cats go with you?
Not all of them.
Not all of them?
Well, honestly, thank you for coming and giving these guys an update yourself. I mean, that takes a lot too,
Mhm.
instead of just letting me relay the information, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Chris Coffee.
I want to do the introductions for you guys because I invited him here. He's the new Obama spokesperson.
Obama.
Obama.
You said Obama. Yeah.
I don't want to say.
Ew.
Representative for Silver Springs, I'll put it that way. And this is Chris Coffey, he's gonna, talk to you a little bit about what's going on and what they have projected.
Mr. Mayor, council members. As Kim alluded to, I'm now a full-time resident here, and I've been appointed by Ovasa to take care of the Silver Springs project, which I would say has limped and has been fraught with issues. Many of those issues, I don't know whether anybody's been through the property in the last 30 days. I've been here since August 1st, and I think hopefully you've seen some improvements out there. We're trying to get this cleaned up, and we're trying to get this into a fully productionized development. There's a significant number of obstacles that we're encountering, and I think there's some conversations that I'd like to have individually, maybe at a different time, about some of the obstacles we've got or some of the moving that we need to do for the common good to get us to move forward. My first objective is to get the 6 properties that have been under construction for the past 6 months completed. All 6 of those properties will be finished by the end of the month. I understand that we've got offers written on 5 of them from this last weekend. So I've got 1 property left in inventory. We do have some difficulties finding trades and builders that are qualified. I'm not interested in just throwing up houses down here, and there's a number of issues that need to be resolved, not the least of which is grading, basic adult supervision. I think AJ can attest that we've got the inmates running the asylum and out there, and it's a little bit of a free-for-all. So there's some cleanup that needs to happen. If we can get fully productionized, and if we can find the local trades, I'd like to see a minimum of 20 houses in the next 12 months. I think we can get closer to triple that if we can get the appropriate people. I come from a production background, so I'm used to doing 600 units at a time. This is a fairly small project. It's 205 acres, but we have the commercial. If we can get the residential under control, we can get the townhomes under control, which maybe we'll bring in modular. some structured insulated panels or something, then I think there's some good opportunities for the commercial structures that we've got out front. Dairy Queen, Dollar General, strip malls, so on and so forth. I got more thoughts than you guys have time, so I don't know, with that sort of laid out, is there any questions or?
Which one do you not have an offer on?
The one that's a hole in the ground, 400 Downing. And right now I have, the people who are interested in it, that's a Fargo, so it's a 5-bedroom. It's our largest build. We have the same thing at 401, and that one's almost complete. They want a different colored siding, so they may actually switch from 400 to 401, and we'll end up with one of those two that is not available. All of the 505s on Downing have offers pending. Lev and Spencer, which is the one on the corner, is pre-sold. I get a number of issues like mailboxes, basic infrastructure, streetlights, garbage collection, dog parks, t-shirts, orthopedic sandals. That's just a long list.
Kind of sounds exciting.
Good
huh?
for you. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Well,
You're doing all these parks and stuff over there. Are you wanting the park board to maintain them, or will that be something that Silver Springs maintains?
no, none of that's been decided. I understand there's some stuff that I still have to get buried in, and I've been submerging myself in completing the 6 projects that have been underway for far too long.
Mhm.
And by getting those up to speed, we've got them off inventory. Next step is I want to get more inventory so that we can start getting some activities out there. We have the park, and we've got some tax issues that I need to get going through. We've got some tax abatement that I'd like to understand. We've ceded some or given some of those parklands to this county or to the city, and we're paying penalties on taxes that, as far as I can tell, we don't even owe. So I've got some accounting that needs to get sorted out. One thing that I do think we want to add over there is a dog park. I've got a location for it. I've got a design for it. A dog park's relatively cheap. The $7,500 improvement you were talking about earlier, I can put that to good use if you like. It's not a big deal, but that would be something that would need to be maintained. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have a homeowners association. And that's another question I have is my understanding is that Public Works are responsible for enforcing the CC&Rs. Is that true? And if it is, who do I talk to, and what do we need to do to make sure we're all on the same page? There's a few questions that are out there at the moment. Is it all right for people who buy it to have dirt and not grass? I don't know. CC&Rs say you're supposed to have grass. We're not enforcing that. We don't have the authority or the desire to.
Isn't that all in the covenants of the development, that
Who-
they have to
who
have
enforces it?
trees and grass and everything?
Sure, it is. Yeah, there's lots of things in the governance. But
I would assume the city would be doing that, is what I would assume.
They, for when they tried to enforce it in my home up there, it was told that you had to take us to court. There was nothing to do with the city. The city had nothing to do with it at that time.
so there's some clarity needed, obviously. There's a document. I think the document needs some amending. I think there's some things in there that are, well, that's all another discussion, right? So I think that there needs to be an agreement on what they are, and then some sort of governance for it, some sort of enforcement. And I agree, it's got to be, I mean, Public Works or somebody needs to take ownership of it and run with it. But I think there's a flagpole provision in there that probably needs to be deleted, and fence provision that needs amending and cleaning
Well,
up.
do we want to have like a special meeting? Is that what we're thinking, or just to discuss those issues? I mean, you can't do it at a meeting.
Right, no, we would have to work through the actual Silver Springs Development Agreement, I would imagine, and fine tooth them and bring them to a council meeting, depending on what issues you're seeing. Right, Kim?
Speak.
Well, what I would like to see done is, they're talking about bringing in a whole section that's gonna be road, curb and gutter, water and sewer for the townhouse. I would like to see us put together a meeting with Chris, your guys' engineer, after you get it platted, what the sizes of all those lots are gonna be, where everything is gonna be, and then sit down with some council members, some planning and zoning members, our engineer, Chris, North Prairie Rural Water is gonna have to be included in it, because that's all North Prairie, and sit down and have a meeting and discuss. So we're not behind the eight ball on this.
What section of Silver Springs is that? Is that like the
Far west.
far west along the dirt road or whatever up there?
Yeah, past the current, the new.
There's a
Okay.
roads in there right now.
Yeah, there's no dirt road.
Wasn't that right
Oh, on
along
the other side.
97th Street there?
They're like we.
It would run parallel, it almost runs parallel to Klein would get extended, and then there'd be a street that sort of follows Downing in an L shape between, what's the far street? Yeah, 97. So it's between Downing and 97. And that's all zoned for
Yeah.
townhomes.
Ways out.
And Kevin's got some maps in her office of all those plans with the actual addresses and everything on them. So definitely, I mean, I'm here full-time, and I'm available for all of these conversations ad hoc, at will. And there's certainly plenty that we can go through that I'd like to make sure we're singing off the same sheet of music at least.
Yeah, I guess that's what I would suggest is we need to set up a meeting. I don't know how long it would take you to get your stuff together, and Anita would have to get us some documents on like the Silver Spring, whatever.
I think
And
you can
set up a meeting.
finish those houses and.
Yeah,
everything.
those, but I mean, I'm talking like November, December, so when fall or spring comes, you're ready to rock and roll.
Right,
that-
it'd be winter work to work through plans,
Yeah.
right? That'd be great, great.
You're not looking at digging this
No,
year yet?
no, the holes that we'll dig before winter are all on Downing.
Okay.
I've got 60 odd plots so I'm busy. I got plenty of plotted land that I can work on. I'm not gonna fill that up before next year.
No, I would get with Anita and get something lined up for October, November, whatever we need to do. I mean, it'll be here soon.
Yeah.
If you don't start.
Well, I'd like to have a plan so that we can move forward, and there's some taxes that I understand we've got some outstanding taxes, we've got some taxes we don't believe we owe, we've got taxes we do and know we owe, and I'd like to get that balanced. I'm here to take care of accounts. So,
And that's gonna be our next big project is the taxes. We've been kind of working through those, so.
okay,
That'll be the next thing that we really want to dive into. Once that's settled up, you get your accounting rolling, we work through plans. Yeah,
okay, so who do I work with on the taxes?
that's gonna be both with me and Kim. We'll be certifying with the county here by November 1st.
Okay. So
So you know us, girls.
I'll be in with donuts in the morning.
But as far as,
Smart man.
But as far as, Twyla's our president of the board. Believe Aiden's Public Works?
Yep.
Yep.
We both
Steve,
are.
You both are over
Yeah,
Public Works?
Aiden and I are.
You know, I mean, so you could visit with Aiden or Steve. Steve's the vice president of our board too. He's well-rounded and has been in the mayor's seat as well before. So, you know, if you guys want to exchange contact information or whatnot.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Steve,
Yeah, that crosses the bridge. Okay.
unfinished business, was that where you wanted to be?
Number one,
Number one. Okay.
zoning ordinance.
Okay, didn't
Did you
wanna
want to
talk
put number
about
4
I
in
will.
there?
Yeah, 4, 5, 6.
that. Okay, down the bottom of that one, okay. Okay, zoning ordinance.
This is kind of what he's looking at doing. I don't know if you guys know.
Where was she saying? Kim, Kim.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of 7.0102 subsection 10D, accessory buildings.
We have a motion on the floor
Show Aiden and I so we can see.
to approve the zoning ordinance, second reading and the final reading, 7.0102 subsection 10 and D. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Steve. Any further discussion?
I just want to explain it real quick because the wording of this is a little bit different than I think what was discussed on a first reading. Section D basically just says no connex or shipping container shall be permitted on any property zone, residential 1, 2, 3, or 4. That's all the residential zones for the city. And I'm defining connex and shipping container, basically what the International Organization for Standardization, which is how these containers are defined and what their measurements are and what they're made of and that kind of stuff. So basically anything that the iOS says is a shipping container is covered. The commonly referred to as dry freight, high cube, open top, or flat rack, those are the 4 standard kinds of shipping containers the iOS has. So I've tried to cover every single base possible here when we're defining what these things are. Because I remember there was some discussion about, well, what is a connex? What is a shipping container? So it's everything that the iOS says it is.
We have a motion and a second. Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
I forget friends there.
Establish and formation of committees. We have a prairie dog committee, ordinance committee, beautification, and others. Being that if you're a committee member, you have to be paid and then you have to be on the city's payroll so that the government can take half your money.
Yeah, so the thing about calling it a committee would be that we'd have to get these people up on payroll. Currently, I don't have anybody up on payroll for a committee member. So, and we've talked about committees for the last 3 meetings that I've been in with the idea that there has been prairie dog meetings. I went to one of them where Chuck and AJ and the mayor and I sat and talked about what could potentially be done, but I don't know if the people listed on this list are actually prairie dog committee meeting members.
Well, we were at one time.
You were at one time, but never up on payroll. Maybe some of you were, some of you weren't.
Well, I would be, but
No,
Right.
I guess I don't quite understand the reason why they have to be on payroll. I mean, it's a committee that might meet once every year if something comes up.
Because a committee member gets paid for every meeting they go to,
But we kind of
according to ordinance.
volunteer to do it. Can we call it a prairie dog group or what do you want to do?
If it wasn't state funded money, I'd say you possibly could get by with that. Call it a beautification group or a ordinance revision group. But if you're doing a prairie dog state funded money, I would say you'd want committee. As far as even the ARPA, the federal, you're gonna want committee. That's just my opinion.
so because that committee deals with funding from the state,
And federal.
it
and
falls
has to be
different than the
recorded.
beautification.
Right. Than the other fund groups.
That makes
could
sense.
exist. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they can be paid as a vendor instead of a employee. So I mean, you send out a $10 check, because I believe it's $10 per committee meeting. So you send out a $10 check instead of running them through your payroll. And then you just add $10 to each council person.
This is all up to you guys. I definitely want to hear what you guys have for input on it.
Do we have an actual ordinance on it that's already there?
We have ordinance on what the mayor gets paid, what the members get paid per meeting, per special meeting, per committee meeting, and what committee members get paid per meeting that they attend. So with the difference of calling it a committee or a volunteer group, or having them on payroll versus having them just get a $10 check.
We just want to make sure we don't screw up losing that money over something like not doing what we're supposed to.
Well, that's what I mean, like your prairie dog, for sure, I would say you'd want a committee because it's state funded. Your ARPA is federal funded. You'd maybe want a committee.
Wouldn't all of them funding eventually come from something like that anyway? So any group we have that,
Your other groups
Appointed.
could be volunteer groups. You could have members out of the community that say, absolutely, I want to help with making the town look great.
that
Put
wouldn't
them
be,
on a beautification group.
but that wouldn't be an appointed.
It wouldn't be an
committee.
appointed committee. It wouldn't have to be.
You're talking, this is just an appointed committee, is how that ordinance reads, right? If we appoint a committee,
Right.
then they have to be on a payroll.
Some kind of payment, whether it be contracted or payroll. Yeah,
And that's the thing with the beautification committee.
it was private.
That was a private thing that the city just decided to give money to. So they're not
Officially appointed members.
officially a city committee.
Yeah.
They're a private organization that the city just gave money to.
And they did a great job. Yeah. But again, anybody could do a great job with volunteering their time to go through ordinances, because we're all just people off the street anyway, in reality. Just wanted to feel your thoughts on this, because, when we're looking at an ordinance committee, an ordinance we had a first read on in June. We're waiting on a second read, and the motion was to send it to a committee, and the mayor was to appoint the members to go over that.
We actually have an existing ordinance committee. I believe it's the named members at the time, I think, were Diane, Elaine Christensen, and Elaine's cousin or sister, and Tara, I think.
Tara, yeah. So, so for,
Is there?
Well, there's none of them around
Well, that's kind of
anymore,
my
so
point.
why wouldn't we redo that?
Yeah, that's kind of my point. The mayor should be able to appoint members to that committee and remove members from that committee.
Do we have a list of all committees that have been appointed?
I think it's pretty much the prairie dog, that beautification.
I don't
and-
have a list of even the beautification, because that was private. The prairie dog was completely just the only one I could find. If Andrew was saying we had an ordinance committee previously,
It was done in a meeting, I think in September of last year.
We did have an ordinance committee.
but some of those members no longer exist.
They're all still around here. Elaine's still here.
Oh,
If they're here, they,
I mean, I don't know why somebody would say they're not around anymore.
so do we just put them up on payroll?
So
so-
the
Not
only,
saying
what it says in the ordinance is, committee members, $10 per committee meeting attended. I mean, it doesn't technically, if we have to change the ordinance to have them not be employees or officers of the city, I think that would be the easiest way to go, because, I mean, you don't need 100 people on payroll.
Right, right. No, I was just asking for what your input is.
No,
for
absolutely.
real.
would Stephanie at League of Cities be able to give you some better advice on that? Being she
On how you
works-
guys want to form your committees, I
Well,
can't
being
imagine.
she works with all the cities, that she would have some insight as to how it's done or how it can be done.
you're saying this our ordinance is worded incorrectly
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, I think, I'm with Jenny. I think we just need to revamp the ordinance or whatever and move along with it.
I think the prairie dog committee would be the only one that would need to.
Well,
be
see, and
a
I thought
committee.
about that, and then even the other one, she said the ARP or whatever that is, but I mean, all we're doing, we're in a committee, we're discussing what it is. It's not like we're voting this thing through and this is what we're gonna do.
No, but you're
The
doing
city
some legwork.
council would vote that through.
Yep.
Right, we would
So-
just make recommendations.
Yeah, as far as,
Just investigating.
yeah,
Just paying them a little bit for their time. Yep, but I think it can be sent up as a vendor, but yeah, you could talk to Stephanie, she would know for sure.
I think that's a really good idea as well.
I mean, it's never been an audit issue, has it?
I don't know if you guys have ever paid anybody.
I think the committees have all been set up.
Probably
as
not. Well, I
council
don't think
members.
anybody really cares to get paid.
Right.
So I mean, it was never brought up. I mean, I think the only committees that we really think of, and not even that they're our committee, but I mean, you have park board and that sort of thing where they get paid, they have a set meeting and that's what it is. But on a committee where you're just here and there once every 6 months to a year,
Yeah.
I don't think
It's
you,
more about just giving, your, providing your input to help make the details smooth for the council to decide.
We have some sort of a consensus as to what to do from here.
Say do some more research on it and table it for right now. And
I'd like to see the ordinance. I think Jenny has a good point, just to change the ordinance.
yeah,
I think we either change the ordinance or we just move on and not waste our time.
We need to refer that to a committee.
Yeah, probably.
Is that something you can easily reword, Andrew?
Well, I think we
Okay.
can do that ourselves. Just put it at the next meeting. We'll knock it out in 5 minutes.
Okay, so
Sounds
you want
good.
me to reword the ordinance?
You can rough draft it.
To state, committee members
Oh, that's true too.
can be paid as vendors
Better yell.
I do
or
think
volunteers?
maybe we can have Andrew write it up instead of you, Anita, because I think you guys have enough going on in the office right now that I don't think I think Andrew would be better equipped to do, have the time right now.
I go where I'm pointed.
Me too.
If the council wants to tell me to do it, I'll do it.
I honestly think the council can knock that out in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I really do. I don't think it's a big deal. You add a sentence or revoke a sentence and we're done.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you put it on the agenda for next month?
You would just need 2 readings though, so if we
Yep.
do have a special meeting this month at any point, if it could be ready for that, and then you can get it passed in a month and ready to go.
Sounds good.
Okay, got it, Anita?
I got it.
All right.
Do you want to, yeah, and then we can go from there, huh? Then you can appoint members?
Yeah.
We need to finish this ordinance. Either pass it along because the attorney drafted it.
Ordinance
Or-
for what?
Chapters 2 and 3 of the
Chapters
ordinances.
2 and 3 of the city ordinance. It was passed to be read on a first read, and the second read was to go to a committee,
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Yep.
or do you just
I'll pass
say?
it right now.
Yep, I'll second that.
Say again, Jenny?
I said chapters 2 and 3, if we pass the first reading, obviously we didn't have any questions. I don't remember referring it to a committee,
The
but
reason it was referred to a committee was to give the public a chance to make comment because we didn't allow it at the first reading. As sort of like an experiment on seeing what kind of process future ordinances might take, to give the public a chance to comment, so we didn't end up with 2.5 to 3 hour council meetings when we were talking about it.
yeah, but how many other cities allow as much public comment?
it's still gonna have to be read again.
Oh, this would be if she moved to approve second and final read, it'd be done.
But isn't this on removing a council member after being censured and that?
Yeah, I think we
No.
should have the
I thought that's why it got sent to a committee.
It's also, I'd mention, it's not on the agenda. So if somebody from the public wanted to be here to talk about it, I think they should have advance notice of that.
I have no idea even what it says, so I couldn't vote.
Yeah, but there's no way that we can sit here and read through that whole thing.
Right, not right now. It'd have to be another time, but
Okay, if we just want to put it on the next meeting then,
So the
but I don't
motion-
think it needs to
motion
go to
fails.
a committee.
Yeah,
withdrawn.
motion fails.
Ready for the credit card option?
I'd mentioned, just to make sure everybody's on the same page here, since there was a motion to refer it to a committee, somebody would have to rescind that.
Jen made the motion.
Should
Oh.
she move to approve the second and
Well-
final read?
No.
No.
The motion to refer it to a committee at the June meeting, somebody would have to rescind that motion.
Well, has that committee actually looked at it, or have they?
Committee
There is
hasn't-
no
No, we
committee.
don't have an ordinance committee.
There is
Yeah,
no
there is.
formal-
We do, but-
There is, it hasn't met.
Yeah.
So we need to have that committee look at it first.
Or it
Somebody
can-
needs to get hold of them and actually have them look at it, correct?
I'll
Or
make-
the motion could be rescinded.
I'll make a motion to rescind the motion to,
Can you resend it if you didn't make the motion? I'm just asking Robert too.
I think only the person that made the motion can rescind.
I think it has,
How do we
to
know-
go to the committee.
Well, if it was the June 7th meeting, were you guys sitting here yet? You didn't make a motion. It would have been me or you or Brent or Twyla. So I guess I would just look up to see who made the motion, and if that person feels okay in the council to rescind it, they throw their name in it to rescind it.
Minutes are online.
Yeah, I'm looking them up.
What was the motion again, Steve?
Just to approve, the motion was to approve the first reading of the amendments to chapter 2 and 3 of the Surrey City Ordinance with the proposed revisions and further send them to a committee. We're just rescinding that.
so I made the motion and Steve seconded it.
Okay.
So
All
I'm
right,
going
girl.
to make a motion to rescind it.
And I'll rescind my second.
Perfect.
Is that beautification something different than the ordinance thing here?
No, it's just your makeup, your decision of your, moving forward of your committees. So an ordinance committee, existed, had some members, but some of those no longer exist. So do I contact the ones that do exist? The mayor appoints new members.
According to the minutes of our last meeting, the mayor was supposed to appoint an ordinance committee by the end of that week. And at that time, I believe I have appointed or would be appointing Kim Shaw, Laura Volk, and what was it? Heather, that's what it was, trying to say, hi, Heather Thorson to be on the ordinance committee,
I need to be on that.
and Attorney Schultz.
Do we now have an ordinance committee that we just rescinded that last one from?
You just rescinded the motion to approve the first read of the amendments to chapters 2 and 3 of the city ordinance.
Okay. But not send it, okay.
You want your auditor to reword your ordinance to state that committees can be paid that, or taken as volunteers / vendors. And now your mayor appointed Kim Shaw, Laura Volk, Heather Thorson, and the attorney to an ordinance committee. Does that leave the other members that were on that committee?
Out,
Okay.
dissolve that previous committee.
Okay.
I guess I don't want to beat this to death, but do we need an ordinance committee? I mean, I know we're going through the
Apparently we do.
ordinances.
We haven't had anything gotten done for how long?
Yeah, well, Kim can explain it better than I, but our ordinance books haven't been kept up for,
There's so many
Well, but that's,
versions
I
of
think
it.
that's totally different than an ordinance committee, myself personally. I think if you're sitting on this board, you need to look at the ordinances, make your motions, discuss them, and be done. And if people want to come in there and sit, they should be allowed to sit during our meeting. If you don't have the time to put 3 hours in on a Monday night, then maybe you shouldn't be on the meeting or on the committee here. I don't know.
well, the point being that the books where you would be looking up the ordinances are not accurate.
I totally
And
understand that.
That's what the committee would be doing, is going through and updating the ordinances between the, what's
If they're
on the
updating the ordinances, then they wouldn't need to do this one because we just updated it ourselves.
Yeah.
So there doesn't need to be an ordinance
But
committee
that's-
to look at.
That's not the
chapter
only
2 and
one.
3.
That's not the only thing that we need to correct.
Well, whatever you guys want to do.
Thank you.
Whose responsibility is it to update the books now?
I just updated them for you.
It is our office responsibility along with,
I never had them before.
it going through the attorney for any amendments. So what we have in the office right now is a scale of, I don't know, shrapnel that we're picking up.
Kim,
Yes, ma'am.
Books are as updated as I can make them right now. The ordinances are a total mess. And I mean mess. I'm gonna have, see if people go through theirs, because they have two huge months chapters. And, yeah, 7 and 12 is being worked on by planning and zoning. You guys did, what, 2 and 3?
Right.
As soon as you get that finalized, you do have a copy of the new read in there, in your books. But nothing has been kept up in the ordinances since, I don't know when, but there's been changes made in there too, and I don't see any motions made on them. It's kind of scary,
It is very scary.
because there's a lot of changes from the book I had at home, with ordinance in it, and there are no first reads, second reads, there's just a huge amount of changes in those ordinances, and I don't know where they.
This has been a subject since I've been on the council from the beginning. It's always been that these ordinances have not all been updated.
So how do you know if something's changed? How do you know if something's
we're
changed
struggling.
if you don't have anything to look back at?
I looked at the ordinance that's online and the ordinances that are here, and there's like 4, there's probably 5 different sets of ordinances up there. Which one do we
Versions.
follow?
Which one
Yeah,
do we
that's
follow?
what I wanna know.
It is a struggle. The struggle is very real on all the files.
I can back him up on that because, I like to make a copy when the citizen has a problem with the
Mhm.
ordinance. I like to show him in black and white a copy of the ordinance and read with it. And when I was going through the 4th of July ordinance, I have the minutes from the council where they approved the change. And first and second reading, I went in every book in the city hall here, and there wasn't a one that we had the third ordinance in it.
Right.
And that's what we're trying, Jim's trying to get across, that we're not a village anymore, we're a city growing every day. We need to get it up.
Yep, and I agree with that. It needs to be updated, and if what's online isn't matching what's in the book,
Pull it.
and I'm just assuming
Absolutely, you're correct.
that you need to do what's online, and whatever's in the book can be shredded. And if you want, well, not that it's being shredded, I know what you're saying, but I think that's part of the problem. It maybe got updated online and then maybe got updated in this book, but not your book. Because I know that's been the case before. Here's this update. Go home and put these in your ordinance book. And nobody did, or this person did and that one didn't.
The other side of that coin, was my advice was to take it off the website, because it is not good.
Or make a note that says that
They
even.
argue with us on it, because they saw it on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe it.
Your guys'
What do you think on that?
I do agree.
Your
I think
guys' books are as updated as I can make them. You have the North Dakota State Building Code is the most current one. You do have the most current emergency management one, which needs to be updated, but it is 2019.
We'll be working on that again. Our personnel needs to be
Personnel
updated.
policy is in there. It's the last one that was updated. There's some stuff from open meetings and open records, which is the most updated from North Dakota. So everything I could do, the most updated, you guys have sitting in front of you in those binders.
So if you're doing this already, the committee is going to do what extra?
They're gonna help go through
I
them.
worked on, those are all just chapters of, all things that if you guys can call it home, you can go to home rule, you can go to the North Dakota code, you can go look at, I mean, it's just a health benefit for the council. The budget will be in there eventually, as soon as you guys pass it. Job descriptions. If there's something else you want added to it, let me know, and I'll do it.
Our bottom line goal would be all to be on the same page.
Personally, I like to have it electronically so we don't have to carry on this ginormous book.
Well, and it's gonna happen again, because like I said,
know.
it's my book today, and then I turn it in, and I don't put in the ordinance updates, and the next person gets it, and it's wrong.
Right.
That's exactly what's gonna happen, because that's what's happening. I don't know. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking the one online is the one that needs to be updated and correct.
You don't want any of that other information.
Well,
I
I think,
personally do.
Yeah,
I think
it's nice to have
Century
it.
Code requires a written copy of all that.
Well, we have one in the office, I guess, and yeah, and if a council member wants one, I get it. It's easier to look it up here, but you can take out your laptop, look it up at home too. I mean, whatever's easiest for you. Could be.
That's what he's saying.
My issue is on the official city website right now, we have ordinances that we know are not current.
Yes, it is a very big
Well,
concern.
my concern isn't taking them down, it's making them correct.
Right.
Is that something that that committee is gonna do? Is they're gonna be the ones that are going in to fix that on
Go
the
in and
online?
suggest the revisions, they'd bring them to you for first and second read, and then we would be able to update it.
Well, if the revision's already done, we just need somebody to go in and
Right,
fix
so
it.
what Kim is saying is that everybody's books are as updated as she believes they can be.
Right,
This is the version that needs to be online.
yes.
I don't know what version you use, you know.
Whatever everybody up here
You're gonna have
has.
to compare A to B first before you know.
Right. But you have, you have all the updated, everything that has been changed, that you guys have, chapter 7 that you guys have okayed through, planning and zoning, you have a copy of that in there. It isn't inserted yet in chapter 7, is what I'm saying. Stuff we've done in chapter 12 is not inserted, you only have the second, your final read, is what it's going to say, but it is not inserted in chapter 12 yet.
But once that's done, then this group is going to bring us those sheets or somebody
I
else.
don't know what the group's gonna do
Okay.
because
I think, can you pull the whole thing down and put the chapters up that you're confident in, but separate them out? Like the way it is right now, and I know that none of us did that, but it's a
It's
PDF
annoying.
that's, you can't look through. So if it's chapter by chapter, I think it would be a lot more functional, and as you get them approved, you can put them up. But I think it is something that's going to have to internally come from the employees in the office, because you're gonna have to look back through minutes and see that on this date, the first reading was done, and then on this date it was passed. And then if it wasn't before, yes.
The committee people or the whoever would be able to do the legwork of sitting and going through ordinances and that kind of paperwork so that Kim can digest this and get it into a readable fashion. Would be my thought on the committee anyway. But we've talked enough about
So
that.
since it is, maybe not accurate, should we pull it off? Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
If it ain't accurate, it shouldn't be on there.
Okay.
I think it's foolish not to have a committee to get some of this stuff straightened out.
Well, it's, everything's
And then it comes to us and then we vote on it and get the first and second reading. And
work in progress.
this has been an ongoing thing for a long time with our ordinance.
Yes.
Well,
I think my ordinance book, the newest upgrade was 08.
It should be done as soon as something's.
Well, the
So-
one book I had was that way.
Kim and Anita, do you think you need a committee to work with, or do you think you can do it yourselves? I guess that's the bottom line question.
Well, yeah, if you want the taxes done and the tip done and the specials done, that's
Mhm.
me, that's top priority right now, getting that done.
Right, we're not gonna get to this immediately.
This is, I mean, I
This-
think it needs to come down and then we'll throw it as fast as we can to see what is correct. And put chapters up that are correct.
Yep.
And the other ones we can put on there that they're being worked.
Yep.
Updated,
Or,
being updated or something like that, and as we get a chapter updated, we can go on.
Can you give us like a monthly report? As far as we got this far through, this far through, this far through, so we know where we're at? I mean, is it a 6-month deal maybe? What's that?
oh, it's gonna be an all winter deal.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She's got time to
Just so
work
we
at
know.
it after November.
Correct. And let's just start then. That's fine. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, we waited this long. What's another few months?
But I do agree we should take,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I think we should still take down offline right now until we get it updated. Mhm. And I think that'll help the chief out also.
Okay,
Great steps.
credit
Sounds
card
great.
service options. Number 3,
How about, so we're done with the beautification thing? There is no committee. Is that what that is?
Yeah, we're done. We're moving on.
we're gonna
Talked about that
appoint
for 45
committees
minutes.
before.
We'll
the
talk
next-
about committees again next month when I bring those updates to you guys. Is that okay? Awesome.
Nita, what do you have on the credit card?
Credit card service options, it's what you guys want to see. I did do a research in a few things. I put a message out to the League of City Auditors, other auditors in the state that use similar programs to what we use already, but governmental type of things. The League of Cities actually has one. Of course, they all cost to install. We must have paid for PACE to be set up at one time. Black Mountain also has a provider that partners with them that puts actually the payments right into their program. The next day, those payments automatically get posted instead of someone manually entering them. But I'm gonna be honest with you, at this point, if you're looking for my opinion, I don't want to see any more changes until we can figure out what's going on.
I guess my comment on it, I mean, we purchased that Black Mountain software and everything for a reason whenever we did it years ago. And the credit card billing system is in there. And I had a discussion with Carla on it and you said it works.
Works is just trying to learn how to group the deposits. So you have to identify how they're getting batched into, you identify how they're being batched. Meaning, you know, you're not gonna have stuff batching on banking policies, on weekends and banking policies. And Amex is gonna batch at a different time than Visa, MasterCard. And if you can learn that pattern, you take all of your deposits, all of your payments that you receive, and you put them in a credit card receivables account on your general ledger. And then as those deposits get put into the bank, as it actually happens, you pull them out of credit card receivables. You should always be able to reconcile that credit card receivables amount, which is money that the credit card companies have collected but haven't put in the bank account. So they have to give you that sort of information, to show you what's making up your deposits.
And that's on the Black Mountain software that we currently have.
No, no. Black Mountain and PACE are two separate programs. PACE is your credit card program. Black Mountain is where we put our utilities. We put the payments manually from one to the other.
And I think, well, that's where you can have more error, though.
The
you know,
room
just
for the
going-
risk of error of it not being entered.
Yes.
And that could be with any of these other programs, unless you went straight with the program that links with Black Mountain,
Mhm.
and then those payments would go in. But
So
then we
instead
would,
of PACE,
right, but then we would still have to deal with citations, building permits, dog licenses. In any case, I think
Dog licenses, building permit, what we have to do on the backside.
citations, building permit, any permits, any licensing. People can, it's crazy, they can pay a gaming license, but they can't finalize it unless they actually get the paperwork. So to me, it's weird that we would take a credit card payment, or for a dog license, I gotta give you a dog tag. Why would we take a payment that way when I have to actually see your face anyway? That's just my opinion. I'm being opinionated about it. Yeah. The proof of shots, right. And
Well,
our
can you
building
cancel
per-
it? I mean, can you just hit and
We-
it goes back to them?
We can't cancel it,
It's already been through the
it's
system.
already been done. You could reject them.
The day up. Okay, so in Velva, we use the Black Mountain software, the BDS payment system. See if it's worked perfectly. I think if Black Mountain could set it up specifically for Surrey, we would only use the utility portion here and the citation portion. Just get rid of everything else, avoid the headache, and then you only have
Just those, yeah.
They can do that. And I didn't give you all the paperwork on it because I didn't know how much you wanted to see about it. Of course, there's cost, right? So we got a quote. BDS payment service. One-time setup fee of $1,300. Maintenance a month is $100. We can actually get a card reader to sit in our office for $360. E-statements that can be sent out, 25 cents a piece. So yeah, there's fees involved. Just didn't know where you guys wanted to go with that. If you do want to go with that, again, I wish we could get a handle on how it's working right now. That's just me.
But I think
I
that's
did
part
say
of the
that-
issue. No, no.
I can say that when I open up the Black Mountain in the morning, it'll just give me a button that I push, and then all the payments that came in overnight.
They do. That's what they explained to me.
So when you were here, Jenny, you were using Black Mountain and this PACE thing.
And I kept a separate spreadsheet.
And
every
what,
time I did a-
what do you think is easier, the Black Mountain and this BDS? Is that easier?
I didn't, like, I kind of mastered the piece.
Pace
I'm
thing.
not trying to, like, I had plenty of time doing it, and then the auditors told me to have a separate spreadsheet of, like, anytime I took in a PACE deposit, like, let's say there was 10 of them, I had a separate spreadsheet that had every single one that went into there. So then when the bank statement came, and I just, and I mean,
could
some of them.
reconcile
obviously
them that way.
cross, but I mean, technically, I think it's just gonna maybe take time. I don't know that this is going to be better, because there are some, like, if they pay at the end of the month, then you run the risk of,
Big cutoffs and whatever.
yep, and then it goes into the next month, and then you have to.
Right, I would love to learn what we have before we
So I don't know,
get
maybe-
forced into looking at changing something else again.
Maybe the option would be changing the due date for the water bill, so if people, they have to pay it. It's true, they don't know, but,
Yeah. They don't care.
but I do know, like, the third or fourth week of the month at my work, like, it's flux, because everybody's pretty much.
I mean, it's like that too, you know, in a month, there's one or two, and then there's citations and licenses on there. I like to get rid of the licenses. Because to me, if you're gonna, or a building permit, if you're gonna pay for a building permit, you have to come into the office anyway.
And do the paperwork.
I think that's what
And you have
Jenny's
to get
saying,
the, yeah.
less categories to choose from.
Can you just delete them off of the box you can choose?
Could we look into that? Would you guys all?
They would have to pay with check or cash then for permits
Yeah,
and
they gotta
the
come here anyway to
license?
sign the paperwork, so what's the sense of taking it online? You can't complete it online or finalize it.
You can
Yeah,
still
so-
pay here with credit card though, right? You just couldn't, you just
Not
can't
if
do
we
it
take it
online?
off. Not if we take it off as an option.
A lot of people are definitely hooked into the credit card.
Right.
Yeah,
Debit
you're gonna
cards,
have to
yeah.
still be able, but
in that side.
You still have to come into this office and get your license for your tag for your dog. You can write the dog tag, your $3 payment written in there, or bring me $3 cash. Instead of doing it online and then we have to call you and say, you have to come down and get your pet license.
Well, and on top,
I need to see a copy of your ratings before I can even issue it.
on top of that, doesn't it cost so much if it's under so many dollars anyway? So to run it for, $3, how much is it really costing the city to run that $3?
Doesn't cost us anything.
It costs the tax, whoever's using the
Oh.
card.
Right, they pay for it.
They pay the fee.
Can you just do the online, take it off of just the online, so you still can pay in?
We don't have a
house?
reader in here, no. We don't have a thing that you slide your card through.
So you already can't pay?
No,
with
if
a
you
credit
come
card
in,
here?
you have to give me your card and I have to go online for you.
Or you can just pay
Or
with
you
check
can
or
go
cash.
online for yourself, or you can pay with cash.
But they want to stop that part of it, having them do it.
So how much would it be just to get a card reader in the office,
Well, this one's $330 a month. Which,
but with Pace?
I don't know how much, if Pace does even offer that. I didn't check that. I do know that Pace couldn't, itemize the transactions. They batch them. They couldn't tell me when cutoff dates were. There's too many variables. And they told me that we were not contracted.
do you have a lot of those transactions a month? But even if there's a few of them, it messes up the whole
It
procedure.
messes up the whole process.
Yeah, I guess that's what I would say. I would agree with you then. Yep.
Or their building permit, or their, whatever else.
I guess I would get rid of those ones online that aren't user-friendly for us. And then when they call to get a building permit or whatever, when they need to come in and do it, I would just tell them, yeah, you're gonna need to come into the office and we do not accept credit card
I
payments.
agree.
And they have to bring cash or check.
They'll get
Is
used
that
to it.
a motion?
They'll get used to it.
Yeah, I can make a motion if that's what you want.
Awesome.
I'll second it.
Eliminate,
Motion by Steve.
credit card options
Or permit.
For permits and
for permits.
licenses.
Dog license.
And licenses.
Licenses is a better word.
I think that will actually make our life a bit easier and maybe we can nail down everything.
We have a motion on the floor by Steve and seconded by Twyla to eliminate the taking, the use of credit cards for building permits and dog license. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
It was building,
Aye.
it was for permits and licenses,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yes.
He said,
I know he did.
Okay.
That's not how I memorized
Opposed?
them all.
Same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay,
And maybe, we can try to attempt this and see if this will ease up our balancing. And again, report back on it. We could always look at another option later.
I would just highly recommend starting that spreadsheet every month. So anything that you come in, so then when
Anything
you
that we
get,
do pace, we just keep spreadsheet and then we check it off bank balance.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Steve, do you want to do the Diane thing now?
Yeah, I guess the Diane lawsuit, do we have any paperwork, anything back as far as all that's going?
No paperwork, but I can explain all of it. So I'm not going to get into what was said or not said in an executive session, but I will give a hypothetical.
Well, I'm just talking the lawsuit itself. You're next on the executive deal.
Oh, an update on the suit?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
I
have
haven't,
nothing- you haven't heard?
I haven't heard anything other than what I've heard from. Well, I haven't talked to anybody with the reserve fund. I heard a rumor that there was a settlement of some kind, but I don't want to. Number one, I don't want to talk about it when I'm not even sure what it would be.
Okay.
But my understanding is there has been some movement on it, but the city hasn't been sued to my knowledge. We just have the demand letter.
City has not received any form.
the unemployment or the NDERF, nothing.
On the
Unemployment, that's
yeah.
been resolved
Yeah.
completely. The DERF was completely separated. That's whole two different things, but we have not received any form of resolution from NDIRF stating they went one way or another.
And my understanding is that any resolution of a potential lawsuit, the city would have to approve the settlement because the city is the client. And nobody can settle a claim without the approval of the client.
Even if we've given everything over to the DERF?
Right, because NDERF acts as the agent for the city in this.
They're
So-
protecting the liability.
So the
Yep.
agent, the agent doesn't have the ability to settle without the principal's approval.
So hypothetically, if if there's a rumor of a settlement,
It's a rumor.
then how could it be if it hasn't come here yet?
No, that's absolutely, you're 100% accurate. They would have had to,
There would be a
anything that
communication from NDERF
transpires.
saying, this is what we want to settle for. Does the city?
they can't
approve?
move forward.
We haven't gotten any form of that.
Carla has her hand.
That would have to be a document, not a verbal thing.
Right, I would assume it would be a document.
Carlo?
What lawsuit is this document endorsed in a public meeting now?
It was handled in executive session.
It was announced, they just used the attorney for Diane as far as what the name of the lawsuit.
I thought there's a lawsuit against the city that's not been publicly,
There's not a lawsuit.
okay.
There's been a demand letter.
There's been a demand of,
Yeah, we can't say how much or whatever, but yeah, there has been a demand letter. That's part of the unemployment thing.
No, this, I'm not.
That's not,
talking about-
she's not talking about unemployment.
Well, I mean, it's part of the same set of circumstances is what I'm saying.
But they're two separate things.
They are.
They are two separate things, and it involves Diane, correct? And the city.
Yes,
Okay, so two separate things, one with unemployment and one with the.
and unemployment's been completely resolved. The state agency made their decision. I made that announcement here 2 months ago.
No, you said that they could be in charge of it, what was their decision for unemployment?
Yeah, she got it.
She got,
Yep.
They denied it the first time, and then we had on
We had
phone
conference.
conferences, and the second time, then they reversed their decision denying it.
but I think that there has not been resolved.
that's correct.
Okay.
Not officially known by anything here. I'm.
Can you just follow up with the DERF just to see what's where? I mean, I've heard that same rumor, I guess. That's why I'm curious.
Okay.
Be done with it. No, to be done with it, then
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's, I want it
okay.
done. The executive meeting thing, that was, you were gonna look into that as far as if we needed to do something in.
Right.
Yes.
And I can, and here's the best hypothetical that I can come up with. Let's say walking out of a meeting in the winter, somebody slips and falls on some ice in the parking lot and wants to sue the city. So they hire a lawyer and send a demand letter to me. And they're asking for a specific amount of money for their injury, let's say $10,000. I call, well, I ask for an executive session so I can say, hey, we got this demand letter. What do I do with this? And somebody says, oh, well, send it to NDERF. That's what we always do. And I say, oh, okay, great, I'll do that. That's not a city action. That's somebody telling me what I need to be doing. Now, if it's, we're going to make a counteroffer or we are going to accept or reject what their offer is, that's a city action that would need a vote. But if I'm saying, hey, what do I do with this? Because this is obviously something that would have come up before. I've never been in that position before, so I ask, what instruction do you give me for this? Especially if it's part of a negotiating strategy, because to send it to NDERF, they can take over negotiations so we don't have to do it. And that would be an exemption under Century Code. So one would require a city action, the other doesn't. Because we're not approving or rejecting or counter-offering anything.
But we are making a city action. I mean, we are telling you as a city
we're
to
saying-
put this with NDERF.
Well, if that's the case, then every time AJ needs to fix the fogger or do anything else, that's a city action. If he comes in here and says, hey, should I,
No,
Should
that's,
I-
no, see, I think you're wrong. That's, I mean,
'Cause it's-
you're
it's just a
comparing
part of the
something
job
that
function.
means nothing to 100 people sitting out in an audience. Whereas, let's just say this person gets suing us who falls on the ground, the city is gonna wanna know that there's a lawsuit. Not that we're fixing the fogger.
well, the fact that, number one, the fact that there is a lawsuit isn't what's exempt. The exemption is for the communications that occur in the session.
Correct, I think it's all exempt, but I think when we get done with our executive meeting, when we come back into a full council, if we've directed you at the executive meeting to contact NADERF about a certain situation, I think at our meeting, when we bring it back into council, at council, we need to say that we gave you direction to do that.
I'll differentiate by saying.
What's the,
Sorry, Brent, what was
Sorry.
that?
I didn't mean to step on you, so.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, it's certainly possible, and if you wanted to, you could, but to say it's legally required, I think would be incorrect. I mean, it would be something certainly you could possibly do, and if you decided to do that, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I'm not saying it's required to do that.
I feel like we're obligated to let the citizens of this city know what is going on, and we have not done a very good job of that.
What's the point of having an executive session meeting and then we were put on as council members to make decisions? And then didn't Steve, you get up and walk out of that meeting and didn't attend it?
Not that one. I'm not a fan of executive meetings. Never have been. I want it all laid out.
The
We have
point is,
nothing to
And-
hide.
And I would say this is a perfect example of why I think you don't like them. Because-
Exactly.
Because this is something that I believe was perfectly legal, but it doesn't provide the public with the full information of what happened.
None of them do.
and we're not,
Right.
I'm not saying that at all. We've had many executive sessions where we've come out and made a motion for you to do,
For you to
Send a
contact the
letter
engineer
to
about
do
this, or for you
whatever.
to
Right.
write a letter.
Or
We've
to
had
make a
lot of meetings
counter offer
like
to
that.
something, or to
Mhm.
do
And we didn't
something in
do that.
response.
We just
Right.
came back and we were just done.
Right, but I'm
And
saying,
every executive session has been on a different topic, completely different, and they're handled each differently.
but in our hypothetical, if you're providing instruction on a negotiating strategy or with regard to negotiating a potential lawsuit, if you're providing that instruction,
Well,
there does not need to be a vote on that.
what
That's
was,
what I'm saying.
can I ask a question here, man? Because there's two of us at the table right now that have no idea what you're talking about.
Actually, there's 6, 7. Because seriously, like, we didn't discuss anything and nothing's been said further. So this is a non-topic.
But the part of when you come back, before you even went in, you had to have had a reason for it. So what was the listed reason for the executive session? There had to have been something said, this is why we're going into it first.
There was, and that was the communication we received from the Wilking Law Firm.
But you
That is
shouldn't,
exactly how it was announced.
again, I don't, but it was specifically what was the count, what it was?
Yeah, it basically said that we're going in executive session to discuss whatever with this law firm.
The communication we received from the law firm.
Correct. But that was it. Then we got back into our regular meeting and we just adjourned.
I think what the
Yep,
question
the way
is,
it should have been, just like our attorney said, that's what was legally done.
the question is what the direction was out of that meeting.
What do you mean the direction? We gave the direction to the attorney
I know, but there
in the
was no
executive
motion.
session. What
There
part
was
don't you
not-
understand?
There was not a motion
To
for
do
the
it.
direction.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
The motion,
not-
He just said legally you do not have to.
Just because legally you don't have to do it doesn't make it right.
That's exactly the point that's exactly the
Exactly.
point that's being made. There's a distinction between what is legally permissible and what is politically or governmentally or morally preferable.
but when,
No, there's just a few of them here trying to,
We're not trying to do
brothers is
anything.
all
Brett.
it is.
We just want the public to know that this Wilkinson law firm or whoever it was was representing Diane, our previous auditor, in a lawsuit. And that they did not know. They do now.
And now in executive session, were you to not say that?
What's that?
In an executive session, when you come out of that, you are not supposed to discuss anything in that. Isn't that correct, Steve?
Yep, 100%.
Well, no, the prohibition is.
Discussing is different.
So then you just did.
No.
What reason?
No, 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 the prohibition is about recounting
what
or
we did.
replaying the conversation.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that it's a topic of conversation is different than what the actual contents of the conversation were.
No one wants to discuss what happened or what was discussed in the executive session. I think we're concerned about the direction that was given that wasn't followed through with.
Right, so I think in future, and I can, I guess, pretty much state what appears to be the preference of the council is that regardless of whether it's legally permissible, it sounds like the council prefers that no matter the action, even if it doesn't need to be voted on, should be voted on in the public interest. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So who wasn't there then? It was Twyla that wasn't there, right?
I was on the phone.
She was on the phone.
Oh, no, Mr. Clark is talking about him and Miss Wheeler,
Yeah, since they're new, Brent.
since they're new members.
But didn't you have, I believe Steve, when he got on, didn't you go in and listen to the executive sessions?
Nope,
You asked to.
I didn't do it.
Oh, why can't they do the same?
They can.
We were going to, but
Okay.
we never did. Andrew and I.
So is everybody, as a member in agreement and then that this should, how it should be going forward?
Because how it really is if a client expresses that they want advice given a certain way and I'm fine with it, then that's, like, I'm
Well,
adaptable.
I've been in 30 executive sessions, I bet. And the only one that we didn't come back and make a motion or a direction for you was the one against Diane.
Okay.
That's why I had an issue.
Sure. Well,
Was
I
there
think,
a-
I think.
Yeah, there's more than that you have an issue.
Was there a motion made or a decision made that was a vote in the executive
there was
session?
no vote.
No, right, there was, so there was
normal procedure.
just,
Come out of the
right, you would,
Direct.
you'd have.
You don't make votes in executive session.
I just got told what to do is all.
Right, you got told what to do, no way, we didn't,
There was
it
no
didn't
vote,
require
no
a vote.
motion, no vote, no.
If there should have been, because then there could have been just,
No, because you can't vote in an executive
no,
session.
you would,
And
you would have voted when you
know
came out.
that.
When you came out, you would have voted.
Do you?
So that,
You?
but,
Okay.
Uh,
Are we ever?
You wanna
ever-
go there,
Are we
Twyla?
ever gonna end this?
No,
Never.
I'm just waiting.
No,
I
I'm
don't know.
talking
You
about
keep
end
bringing
this.
it up.
No. You can
No,
talk,
you're
this
right,
is
no,
the
never.
review.
Is that how you guys would like to see this going forward then?
Yeah, I'm saying I
That
can,
whether-
And
I
I
can
think
tailor my advice in the
That's
future. I can do
conversation
that.
that we can have while we're in executive session, what to decide.
Okay. Mr. Schultz has agreed to tailor his advice on future sessions. Okay, new
Thank you.
business, building inspector. Chris Walla? That's you? Okay, you.
You should have
look
come
like
at
I
9
feel.
or 8:30, huh?
Sorry to keep you so long.
Fantastic.
So Chris, I'm gonna introduce him, kind of, sort of, if you don't wanna roll with it himself, but he's been working with the county, hand in hand with us here in Surrey, as our, building inspector, since Leo retired here this spring.
Yeah, I guess once I worked for the county 6, 7 months, it was kind of turned into a 32-hour job. Since I started, I was working 40 hours. Basically because we required 40 hours, but they didn't want to pay for the extra day. So I decided that it wasn't for me. And Jim and Anita had said something about possibly doing this for the city of Surrey. And I do feel that there probably is a need. When I worked for Ward County, I probably spent less than
quarter of my time in Surrey, but yet there's probably a third of the permits are in this town. So there's a lot of growth here. I don't think I spent enough time doing it.
So with that being said, our Ward County contract right now is leaving us without a building inspector currently. Oh, really? Oh, okay, I got left out of that. That's awesome. But so Chris kind of, yeah, we shot out the idea of what if we didn't contract? What if we hired him? What do you guys think on that?
Would there be enough work to be full-time, or are you looking at full-time and then helping out with public works part-time? Or
No, I would just do it as a part-time basis.
strictly part-time?
Yeah, yeah.
Doing the building inspecting?
Yeah.
And the salary would be based on hourly or
Well, I kind of
commission-based?
worked it out two different ways. I mean, basically kind of a monthly salary and then plus mileage. And I just leveled it out through the whole year rather than having kind of a spike there. The top line on that spreadsheet that I gave you, basically,
Can you speak into the microphone?
oh, sorry. Is this thing on?
A little
Oh,
bit better. yeah.
Okay. The top line on there is basically the hours that I recorded, the months that I worked, and then estimated based on what Leo had put in. And then the other one is basically I just evened it out, lowered it, and then just came up with a number that I felt was fair. So I kind of just basically came up with a not to exceed number, you know, at the very bottom. Or I guess I didn't really know what you guys had in mind, so I just kind of threw some things out there. But no, I'm not looking for a full-time job.
An average of 65, it looks like.
What's that?
An average like 65 hours a month?
That's what.
Yeah.
account we used.
I kind
The
of,
top line, I think, is what Leo had, right?
what's that?
The top line was what Leo had.
Okay, I
and
see.
then you
Well,
lowered it to
between
the-
between mine and what Leo had, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, just based on going through the amount of permits and things like that. You know, I don't know specifically on what Leo did, but
Right.
I just kind of did an average. And then I just kind of, I lowered it from what it was. And I lowered my salary a couple dollars. And then I put in expenses to come up with that 21,000 number. And then if I went just straight hourly, I would take care of my own expenses, except for, you know, it's, I guess they would all be included for the $44 an hour.
I kind of gave you guys a history of the building inspector income taken in on building permits versus paying the inspector costs, because we used to have our own individual inspections up until 2019. Not that we're here to make money on it, but potentially with all of the Silver Spring development that could happen, and knowing the qualifications that Chris has in hand, you know, it could work out a win-win for everyone. But it's just, you know, it's something for you guys to think on. Wanted to see your input, see, you know, if that'd be an option, or if you want to just continue with the contracted.
I guess I have a question on, not for Chris yet, but on the 2020 or 2021 building permit fees, there's 20 houses going up. Are we only getting $700 a house building inspection?
Right. so the
Yeah, but
amount
we're
that you
collecting
see-
it. Somebody's collecting it.
Yeah, Ward County is.
Okay, but that 14,000
Yep.
in building permit fees, what is that?
That is what we've collected and we've paid 10 out to Ward County.
And
Does that
so-
make sense?
No,
Well, that's what they did. Does have to make sense.
well, yes, but 20 houses at, what's the inspection fee, 2,000 a house?
Well, that doesn't include our water and sewer because Fort County doesn't get that, we get that.
Right,
Right. But it does
And it
include,
doesn't include the $75 or the $15 or the $300. That's strictly the money that was paid to Ward County.
but he's saying on a normal inspection, it's about $1,000 an inspection
1,000,
that they're getting.
the
an
inspection
average?
fees per house is $1,000,
It's-
2,000?
It's basically based on the amount of the permit. So if it's, you know,
Square footage and-
$100,000 permit, the county charges $100 per or $4.50 per thousand.
Right.
So it'd be like $450.
It's
on it.
like 5%, I think is what I've quoted people
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So 100,000 would be $5,000.
No,
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 500.
$50.
$50.
Yeah.
5% of,
so on a $300,000
$100,000.
home, the normal inspection is maybe $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
somewhere in
So if you've done 20 of them, then in a year, you could, recover some of those inspection fees, but if you hire him, you're gonna be paying him too,
So, Chris, I appreciate you 100% offering to do this. It's fantastic. I do have a couple questions. One, what if the building prices skyrocket and building stops? So we are anticipated to get 40 houses or whatever it is next year, or plus. So let's say we got 60 houses next year, and at your cost, it would almost be like you're not really making any money and you're probably working a lot. But so my question is this:
I put myself out there, so.
is there a way that we can do it per house? Like, so, because I mean, I don't think the city should have to pay $1,280 a month if there's only one house that goes up. Do you understand?
per unit.
Oh, second option. Sorry, I didn't see that. And then I highly advise that we look at our building permit fees as well.
We had a lot doing building permits. If you want to look, just out of curiosity, by looking at these numbers, 14,000 minus the 10, we're in a plus 3346. 20 houses. 20 houses times $150, because $150 goes to the police department and $150 goes to park board, is $6,000. The city just lost 3.
Well, this is not including any of those numbers.
Well, it's
any-
not, well, if our profit is 3,300, we got to give 300 away.
No, that's already separated into a different fund. This is just the building fund you're looking at.
You guys collect the building permit fees and you give them to Ward County, or does Ward County collect them?
We collect them and we give them to Ward County. So this is our administration fees, our filing fees. This is our building fee. It's not the park or the police or that, or whatnot. Water, sewer, excavation. This is just the building fee, okay? But look at what you did in 2012 and 2013, when building really happened too, and you had your own inspector. That was just your building fee. But if you don't have the building, then what happens? What happens? And I get that would be, what would happen.
So how come in 2020 and 2021, we took in roughly less than $1,000 in 2020 and we paid out more and we have less per revenue? We only made $1,590 instead of the 33. What happened there? I mean, why is there such a difference in some of the dollar amounts?
Yeah,
That's
they
the
could.
number of houses, I would assume.
Well,
That's
like
what I
on-
pulled
yeah.
from the building fund for that year.
Yeah, that can't be right, because like even on 18, we had permit fees of $9,000, costs of 900, and we got 8,000.
Yeah.
That's what I pulled from the building
But
fund for
The
that year.
building fund was,
Something's
it had to
wonky in
be
there.
wrong numbers. There's just no way.
Doesn't make sense.
Because the year before it was 9,000 as well, but we had 7,000 in costs compared to 900. I don't know.
Are we planning on having another meeting before the October meeting to finalize the budget, or that we could go through this again?
Well, I think it's just a matter if we want him to do it, if we want Ward County to do it.
Right.
What, you said we're contracted through Ward County, is that like, what is that?
We just a
Contract.
joint agreement.
Yeah, 60-day, I think 60 days, isn't it? Yeah,
We could change it with a 60-day notice.
I believe that's.
But it's a joint agreement that they provide service to us for inspection.
I'm just concerned that this is a building boom much similar to the oil boom that went away really fast. So are we gonna hire somebody to, and then have him be gone?
Is that second option like only hours worked?
I like that one myself.
So if there is no work, you're not gonna get paid, right? The other one,
Exact-
and the other
exact-
option
Exactly.
is getting paid.
Can we refigure our building permits so that we're not losing money over the year? I think,
We didn't lose money over any of the years. You didn't make any money off of them.
yeah. Well, if you guys, in the office, you gotta figure out all these permits and stuff like that. You're getting paid too, so.
I mean, I suppose you have no idea. Let's just say someone comes in with $300,000 house out there. Any idea how much time you would have in that as far as from start to finish? If it's just a
If I'm
normal
working for
build?
the county or if I'm working for Surrey. Because if I'm working for Ward County, it's 3 inspections. It's framing, footing, and final. That's
Yeah,
it.
just 4 inspections, isn't it?
It's 3.
3? Well, we did the foundation of, let's see, footings, the foundation wall, the
It should be,
framing and the final. Yeah.
it should be, in my opinion, it should be footings, foundation, and elevation should be checked before anything is poured in the ground.
Yep.
Because we do have issues in this town that the grade is not
A lot of issues.
adequate, or should be a lot higher.
Yeah, 12
There
inches
should be
plus
an
2%.
insulation. There should be an insulation inspection. There should be a gas line inspection. That's kind of a gray area right now. I've talked with the state. I've done a couple here in town. The state does some out in Stanley. They don't really want to do it here. Something needs to be decided with that.
So do you have 10 hours in if you did it for the city? Would it be 10 hours, 5? I mean, ballpark.
Probably 10 hours in the field and probably additional 5 maybe in the office, something like that.
For just one house?
Yeah.
So $500 of $1,000 building permit.
Well, what's the
15
council's
$660
feelings?
Times 44 is 650.
What's the council's feelings on this?
And the,
I know at one time we tried hiring somebody, I think we even advertised and we just didn't have no bites.
it's a.
We pretty much were
job.
forced to go to the county.
Mhm.
This would also just be for like pre-existing homes too, that if they're doing any, you would,
Fencing or whatever.
yeah, you would come and check
Fen-
those things too.
Fences and sidewalks and
Anything that
driveways
would
and,
require a permit, I'm assuming.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this would just be the number for the new houses,
Mm-hmm.
but not to include like people that are remodeling or something. So,
and an actual building permit on a normal start to finish as far as the income that we charge for the permit and everything? Any idea what that is roughly?
Kim,
So on a 300,
who's doing them now?
Ward County is it? It's basically just 100.
It was 50 for the first 1,000 and then $5
per thousand afterwards,
So it's 5% basically.
$5 per thousand.
Yeah.
what would be a $300,000 house would be 1 times 5 cents.
That's 1,500. And on that 1,500 roughly, if we're doing it, he would get 660 and we end up with the rest. I think we would have to change them.
I don't think that 1,500 is, I think it's about half that.
I don't think it was that high. Well,
I thought it was higher than
Ward
that.
County,
$1,200, $8 to $1,200.
Okay.
Ward County is the cheapest around.
They are?
Ward County what?
It is the cheapest permits in this area, Ward County.
we charged that percentage and then they also got charged for, they were putting a fireplace in, they got charged if they were doing that.
Well, and it's not like we have to make a ton of money. We just can't lose any money because you are gonna get it on the tax roll. But you need to at least break even or something. I mean,
So if we raise the building permit fees 10, 20%, and then go with one of these deals here, I think we can overtake.
that's where I'm heading.
You live in Minot?
I live by Bell School.
By Bell?
I live by
Oh,
Bell School.
Bell School. I guess I find mileage offensive. I built cabinets in Surrey and took them into Minot and never got a dime for mileage. But everybody that lives in Minot feels they have to get mileage to come to Surrey.
Oh,
I don't know. Even the preacher over at the church gets mileage to come out here, you know. Other than that, I would entertain a motion that we hire Mr. Walla at this rate and adjust the building permits so that we don't lose money on the deal.
Which option?
You talking
For the
hourly or?
yearly? Are you asking yearly or
Like the
hourly?
$44 an hour?
You can do whatever. You make the motion if you want. You can pay him $30 an hour if he wants to take it.
I'll make a motion to hire him at the $44 an hour.
I will second it.
We have a motion on the floor, seconded by Brent. Any further discussion?
Is this,
You wouldn't take, like, this is your bottom dollar right here. I'm not trying to negotiate you out of anything, but, this is, what you put on this sheet was yours. There's no negotiations in.
And that's with adjusting building permit fees, right?
Well, no,
Correct.
He has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I know.
We hire him.
She means the motion that.
Yeah.
No,
will this change on the budget also?
you know, we can start talking about. 'Cause that was at 18.
Correct. This will be a budget change for the next reading.
Well, we're already budgeting to pay Ward County.
You've, Chris,
Well, it'd be cheap, but the pay-
you've passed all the state inspector exams and all that stuff?
He's certified.
Certifications?
I haven't taken my IRC one yet.
You have the other ones though?
I got my
You need
journeyman
more
plumber
policy.
test
Yeah.
and
It has to be 12 or 1,300 bucks or something.
I think I gotta take the,
HVAC and
the what?
HVAC?
I haven't taken that, no.
There's nothing like two soft-spoken people trying to talk to each other.
Okay, we have a
You
motion on the
too.
floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Who made the motion?
I did.
Twyla?
Yes. Brent.
Brent?
Yes.
Aiden?
Yes.
Jennifer? Tiffany? I forgot.
Yes.
Steve?
Yep.
Motion passed. Blue Cross coverage.
Hey, before we go there,
Yes, sir.
can we put on the agenda then, Anita, we need to discuss building permits next month?
Building permit fees.
Okay, just send them one.
It is.
Yeah.
Nope, we already made a motion to get out of that.
Thank you.
Blue Cross.
Thank you.
Poor guy.
Anita, Blue Cross.
Yes, Blue Cross, 2021, I wasn't gonna go ahead and, roll with this decision, so I'm rolling it by you. We are on a grandfathered plan and our, benefits are up for renewal. We could go with a, alternative similar plan. It sounds very, nice for the city at the moment because we're all pretty young employees. However, the cost is based on age of the participant. So I guess the longer the city would keep us, the more they would pay for insurance. Just wanting to run it by you guys to see what you would really want to do with this. If you would want to lock in on that grandfathered status with a monthly increase or an annual increase of $3,114 for this year. Or if you want to go with another similar coverage for your employees.
Can I understand the sheet that you handed out? The current annual savings for the 9,500 plan is 7173 for the year for everybody?
Yes. The similar plan that they offer us going out of that grandfather status would save the city right now $7,173.72 for next year.
However, next year.
I will say that I have this plan for my office and it is awesome.
Yeah. I will also say that I just got this plan for myself and yeah, it does sound absolutely fantastic. And she's right, every year it goes up a certain percentage. The older you get, the higher the percentage that it increases. But I mean, to save 71, I would say it's almost completely up to you guys, because if you want to lose your grandfathered health insurance plan that at the time was the cat's meow type deal, I would say it's up to you.
Kind of becomes a definitely a political thing for real in the insurance world. Because they are trying to get you out of your grandfather's status.
I'd like to just see the actual plan and see what,
I got it.
you got some information on it. I don't want to sit here now and read it, but I would, that's the issue.
Well, I
That's
have
quite a
to
bit
have an
info.
answer by the end of the month type thing. Because of course our rates are all based on it. They're all changing. We're going to have to start withholding a different rate in
And-
any case.
And open enrollment starts November 1st.
Kimberly, well, it depends on their anniversary date. Kimberly, you were always the guru.
Yeah, see,
No, it maxes out at 65. But Kim, you were always kind of the guru in research. Like, are these plans comparable or?
it's not apples to apples.
I can't imagine it is because you can't have people savings with health insurance companies. And losing that grandfather status is a big thing. And they're pushing this.
So Kim, how old are you? Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
She's 21.
I'll be fair. So for me,
Look at 61.
Use me, I'm 36.
so my premium, what do we got here? I'm looking at, geez, that's small. Three.
Got your readers on?
No.
Pull out the end of your nose.
So, you know, me at 382, 392.
A month?
Check the next page. There's another chart with this.
There is, right here. Oh, right here it
It's the one
is.
you've highlighted.
Yes. Come on, be nice to me. Okay, me at 563 compared to someone, that's 60 would be 1,154.
Yeah.
Okay, and that 563, that's your portion, or is that the whole plan?
That's the cost of the
That's the
entire
whole
premium.
plan.
And then we're on a 70-30 split right now.
For me plus my child, yeah. 'cause
Yeah,
you
but
don't pay
okay, but
me
you're
100%.
563, we pay 70, you pay 30.
Yeah, but for,
Single, you pay 100.
Mhm.
So Kim's on a single,
Right, but
you're
that-
gonna pay 1,100 and
It's
That
double.
500 is only single plan. That's not a family, that's not a plus dependent plan you're looking at,
I'm looking at,
a single plan.
you can't be.
my child would be another, based on his age,
Added on.
the dollar amount added on to that.
Right.
Yep.
So you're not, your plan number is gonna add a whole nother person or
Right.
per person. So,
Right.
cause isn't this plan, it doesn't do family, it does per person. It adds a per person thing, I think.
If they're pushing it that hard.
All I know is my,
It's based on age, so if I had a
I'm-
14-year-old, I'd have to add theirs on.
yeah, I'm
Plus
36
mine
with no
on.
dependents. My health insurance is like 520 something a month.
Right,
If I had a dependent, then their age number would be added on to that.
correct.
Right.
But I think it maxes out at some point where you can just say,
I thought I
Well,
heard that where it didn't.
I have it up
didn't
to
matter.
60 is what they gave me at 1154.
turn the page,
Oh, no,
65.
65 at
got it highlighted.
1279.
But it
Turn the
does,
page. It's gonna be your motto. Turn the page.
What's a 65 plan for us right now?
Right now, it is
678, 50 for someone.
on a single,
Well, whatever the 1279 was.
yeah, on a single, it's 678.50.
That's for the new contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the current
No,
one
that's-
is 630,
That, no, that's not the
It
new one.
was
That's our
630.
grandfathered one.
I have no idea.
Yes.
I have no idea.
The grandfather is 678 for an individual policy, no matter the age.
The grandfather. So that's,
with better coverage.
Well, I don't know that it's better. They do have a lot of perks on this new coverage. But again, I think the political piece of it, when I asked her, why wouldn't you go with this? Was, well, some people don't like not getting locked out of their grandfather status.
Well, there's a reason they're pushing that.
well, most of the time with insurance companies, if it's because that's where they're gonna make more money.
Yeah,
So-
and they're banking on somebody older. If they get onto the new policy and they're older, their individual premium goes up.
Yeah, you have to
Yes.
retire.
So I think,
Yeah, gotta go.
Again, right now, it is going to do the city like awesome in numbers if we went new. But, you know, if you keep us for, hopefully, I want to retire as an auditor. You know, if I'm 60, we're going to pay a lot of money for me too then. you
I
know?
think you gotta look, I think we need to look not just at the dollar amount though, but at the coverage, what you're actually getting covered.
yes,
Because right now, your current coverage is probably better, even if we do pay a little bit more for it. You're gonna have a better coverage for our employees.
There was,
Did they do that NFAT or InFit or whatever it's called?
the Sanford, not plus, but it's a Sanford.
It's like a
policy.
self-funded one? No?
so she kind of sold us on the idea, sold me on the idea there was same deductibles. But the new plan would have built-in pediatric, dental, and vision along with health. So, yeah, I have a kid. That sounds nice. Extensive preventive services versus what the other one has. I mean, the other one has basic preventive services, but the alternative has a little bit more on that side. Again, it comes down to the base of the age of your participant is what I got out of it.
But you wanna look at what the coverage is, if the old policy covers 70% and the new one covers 60%, that's the difference.
No, the coverages were similar. 80/20 or
90/10, what's out of pocket for each of them? But I mean, literally, I think this comes down to the employee preference. I think you guys have to have a meeting tomorrow morning and decide what you want, look at the plans, make copies, and you guys decide.
If you get out of that, you'll never get it back.
Exactly.
Because we have the same thing at the school.
Okay. So what do you guys think we should do? You think we should just,
I personally think, my opinion would be to keep the current one because you also have, like, yes, we're saving money right now, but we have to look in future, just future employees. Like if Kim retires in 2 years and we get somebody else in that's,
well, Kevin's age.
61, he doesn't count because he keeps retiring. Right?
One way or the other, but I will tell you that giving employees on the police department side, you're gonna have a tough time because most everybody's paying 100% now the police officers. So they will go elsewhere for the insurance.
For insurance.
I guess I agree.
Everybody's paying 100% down.
I'd rather keep what you got.
Okay, I didn't want to
Okay.
make the decision, so I just.
We have a motion.
There is no motion.
No, do we have a motion? Anyone?
I'm not gonna be responsible for taking away a fantastic grandfathered health plan, so I don't think it's up to me. You guys decide.
No, but you could be responsible for keeping them there. Yeah. I see both ways, yeah.
I think it takes.
I think it's up to you guys to decide what you want to do.
Do some research on it.
I think it's worth mentioning that it's going to affect the employees the most, so maybe the council should have the employees' input. Right, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There should be a conversation in the next couple of days. And if there is a desire for change, someone can tell somebody and there can be a special meeting.
Sounds good. We'll table it.
Yeah, and well, I'm also meeting with the gals in the office
On
Friday
Friday.
morning.
Yep.
We can discuss it some more then, and we can, let you know what you say.
Okay, we'll table the discussion until not Teresa.
If there's change
Tiffany
needed.
gets back with
Yep.
us.
Okay.
Okay, mayor's report.
Put that here.
I had originally wanted to speak regarding the
We missed,
special.
we missed one on the new business and we missed the add-on of the
No,
fence, wasn't that?
no.
Kip.
Oh, it's not even on
Wherever
here.
we're gonna talk about
It's
that.
not even on
Okay.
here.
You can put it under my crap.
It's not on here.
It's on your additions, yes.
Yeah, it's on the additions to the 908 Surrey fence.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. I was gonna originally talk about the special election we had. But basically it cost, what, 18 some, no, $180 vote, wasn't it, Anita?
It was almost, yeah, it was about $18 a vote short.
$18. So the gross for the election was
162 votes at $18. It was almost a $3,000 bill.
for the election.
Yep.
And that's all I've got. Public Works. He's gone. Oh, no, he's here.
We knew your job then.
So on your deal, I highlighted a few things that need addressed. One of them is the lagoons are at an all-time low. Now would be a good time to try to fix the line between cell 2 and cell 3. The cheapest recommendation I got is us haul a load of clay out to the lagoons, Kelsey or somebody go out with an excavator, beach off around both ends of that pipe, dig up the ends of the pipe and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. And between cell 1 and cell 3, there is water leaching through the dike. And I talked to an engineer 3 weeks ago, off the radar, off the clock about it. His recommendation was to get some soil samples done, but in order to do that, I wanted your guys' blessing to move forward. See if we can figure out where it's leaching, how bad it is, if it's something that's gonna be worse.
I think if you just take spot samples of different areas, maybe you can just pinpoint it and then we don't have to do the whole thing and then it saves us money. Is that correct?
It's leaking in 3 or 4 different spots.
Is it lined? It's not lined.
It's lined with clay, I believe. And also, that was built in 1984 or 85, so it's 36 years old.
There's a prairie dog project. I
Can
would
we
make a
use it for
motion.
that?
Yeah. I would make a motion to approve that.
And
Or
second it.
the soil sample
Okay.
option.
Out of Prairie Dog?
What?
No,
No, sewer for now.
Just to figure out what's actually wrong.
Yep.
Same with the other part too, the locating the.
No, I think that one, I mean, is there like, can you hire a diver or something to go down and try to fix it? I know that's usually the cheapest
There's
option.
only about that much water,
So it'd be even cheaper.
but I've walked out there with the probe and tried to find it, and I haven't located it. I know where it's at in cell 2, and we tried running a jetter through it almost a year ago. It goes at the end of each line, there's a concrete ring on cell 2 side. I got the jetter in about 6 inches and it's just blowing straight out, so the line is cracked. And it's a matter of getting that fixed, figuring out exactly what we have, and that's why I suggested just building a little dike, whatever we need with clay, pump the water out, dig it up, physically see what's wrong. And then we've got some old sewer line that we could actually build a new ring to put on cell 3 side.
I don't know much about the lagoon thing.
It makes sense to me what you're saying to do, because it's,
Yeah.
it seems like the easiest fix for it. Makes sense.
Do you have any approximate bids for it?
Not yet.
I mean, is this a $20,000 project or a $5,000 project?
I think it'd be a 5 or less.
We'll get some quotes.
So anything over 2,500, don't we need to bid or something?
But this is you guys doing the work, right?
It's
No.
just Kelsey out there with an excavator dumping the clay
Right.
and then digging the line up, us doing the work, and then him pulling the clay back out.
It's gotta be done either way.
Yeah.
So,
And as far as
No
the
matter
soil
what it
testing,
costs, you
that'll
gotta
have to
do it.
go to the soil test company.
Do you have the engineer look at it or no? And is he gonna come up with a big bid?
No, actually, he is off the radar looking into grants to see if we could get it fixed right. They've mentioned there's a couple ways of doing it, but basically we had to start with the soil samples and go from there.
Okay. Let's do that.
So
do you have a specific
Start with soil
request?
samples.
Do you have a specific request?
So we're gonna do the soil samples, or we're gonna try to fix anything with the line while the lagoons are so low?
Well, it isn't gonna leak if you pump all the water out of it, so you'd almost have to do
It's two
the
separate issues, Chuck,
2 separate lagoons.
2 separate issues.
Okay, one is between
Cell
2
1,
and 3, and the other one's between 1 and 3.
I mean, technically, if the water's so low, we don't have a plan to discharge or anything this year. So I mean, is this really a necessity unless we get, 100 feet of snow or something this winter?
It is, but it isn't. Because if we do it,
Which project is more important? I would say the other one, right?
the leaching, I would say, is more important. Because eventually you could take a chance of that dike between 1 and 3 actually washing out.
Right. So I would say move ahead with the soil sample thing and then possibly just talk to a couple of contractors and see.
Well, the other one is being the water level's low now is the time to do it, because it's, if the water level does get higher in the spring or whatever, we have problems, it's gonna cost way more money to do the same job that we can do now. These guys can do it themselves.
He's not saying that he's gonna do it himself. It's a contractor that comes in.
Well, they're gonna
With the
come in
clay.
with an excavator,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of it, you said you can do by yourself. Oh, except for the excavator work. Right. Yeah, I would recommend just doing that part too.
And you need to locate a line there between 2 and 3 is what you're saying, right?
The line is plugged somewhere.
Would Keith know where it's at?
Didn't he come out today, John?
Keith did come out today to look at it, and he didn't remember any issues, but he hasn't done anything with that line in 4 or 5 years. So somewhere between then and now, we have an issue.
How long is this line? 20 feet,
60 feet.
60 feet of 12-inch PVC,
I think it's 8-inch.
8-inch PVC?
Possibly having to be replaced.
No, I think it's just something plugging the end.
Muskrat?
Makes sense to just dig it, to take it
That's-
off.
I'm hoping, like I said, if we dike it off, then we could expose both ends. I know the one end is cracked right at the end where it's got a concrete ring that's 30 inches round, 18 inches tall. The line goes inside it. And then that makes it where you always have a minimum of 18 inches of liquid in each cell. That way your cell liner doesn't dry out. And on Cell Tree side, years before I got here, the concrete ring, I don't know if ice shifted it or what, but it was 6 feet over on the bank and broken too. Had a chunk broke out, so Bob and I actually dug it out while the lagoon was low and hauled it out.
He did mention it was like that. Couldn't remember, because before you got there, it just actually started, but it's been like that.
So Anita, do you know off the top of your head how much it has to be to get put out on bids?
I don't.
Is it that high?
26,000?
So can you just contact a couple contractors, get some numbers, and then bring them back to us? I'm assuming we're gonna have a special meeting, because we're literally going nowhere tonight, but slap it on that agenda so we can improve it. So we have something to look at, more than one number, please. And thank you.
I would agree. I think it's probably something we probably need to do both projects, but I think we need to know what we're looking at.
Should he still do the report with the soil sample?
Yeah, I think we need
samples
those
right now?
anyway.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
one that's gonna be an expensive project.
Did
Yeah,
we vote on that one?
He made a motion and a second. I don't know that anybody.
I think we
voted.
stopped there.
Yeah.
We had a motion. The motion was what?
For
Soil
soil
samples.
samples.
Do the soil samples? And do we want to add in there to get a bid on replacing the pipe? Or do we want to just stick with soil samples?
No, I can amend my motion to include soliciting for bids for the line repair between cells 2 and 3.
We have a motion on the floor from
I second it.
Ms. Johns and a second by Ms. Wheeler. Any further discussion? Hearing none, voice vote, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Any questions on anything we got done in the last month?
Thank you. Public Works, City Auditor, retention of file recordings.
File retention, no, we're just kind of talking ordinances. We've been talking files too in the office. We'd like to have an idea that this winter, project be to organize and prepare for file retention that would be due with the state by May 31st. Wondering if you'd like to include retending, the recordings of meetings, executive sessions are required to be kept 6 months. YouTube would fall under the 2-month category. Just trying to clean up the house.
I think recordings, like such as what Chuck brings in, is just for the auditor to be able to type up the minutes in the lapse, in the instance that they forget what was said. So I don't think that needs to be done, minus the, of course, executive sessions.
Okay.
Especially, I mean, we have YouTube. They're gonna be on there forever.
It's kind of an ongoing thing that auditors do in their city offices, clean records. So you're working with the most current and archiving those records that need to be archived.
I would like to express a preference.
Yep.
Most times when people sue government entities, the statute of limitations is 2 years. So I don't think it's unreasonable to retain recordings and such for 2 years, just so there's a non-questionable source of information, just in case we need to know exactly what somebody said at a given time.
I don't disagree with you, but North Dakota Century Code is 60 days. If you do record the meeting, it's 60 days. So, I mean, that's a pretty big jump.
Right.
Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. If
Well,
you guys
and
want to do it, it's
I-
fine.
that's why I'm asking you guys what
I think
what
that's an
matters
ordinance
to you.
change.
So, because we got 3 computers that are full and filing drawers that are full. And we need to be working with the most current material, as you see, because we need to be able to reference that to our residents.
We need to have a motion on that, or
No, I'm just wanting your
Just
input, your
FYI.
direction. Do you want it kept for 2 years?
If that's what the attorney says, I agree with you.
Sure.
I agree. Because you do get sued, you can't go back and get the record. That's,
Okay, so we're going recordings 2 years just in case? The other files we can retend according to the century code, I would hope.
Yep.
Awesome.
community meeting invitation.
Oh, yes, and this was something about these Old Town meetings
I'm not doing that.
not happening anymore, but it doesn't take away the idea that the reason I would have loved to attended would to have been that to say that we actually need people that want to help our community. We need people that want to actually put together things to happen in town. If we get a bunch of donations in here for Christmas, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to have time to put together baskets for our community. I'm going to want to refuse donations this year because we have this to do. We're working on the basics of our business right now.
Never refuse money. Dumpster shop class project,
The dumpsters.
park dumpsters. Want me to read it, Anita?
You sure can.
As of 2021, 2 dumpsters were added to the monthly garbage bill, one for RV park, one for Pony Park. This could be a charge to the city or to the park district. Question. Notice was given that Circle only dumped a dumpster once at the Pony Park since July. Monthly dumpster charge is $47.50, is a cost of $237 for a season for one dump. Circle asked if the garbage totes would be a better option. With the winds in North Dakota, it was relayed relayed to keep the dumpster there for the rest of the season, but options can be looked into in the future. So what if the shop kids at Surrey School built holders for 2 or 3 totes? Cost monthly for a tote is $13.55. It would save the city and park money in the long run. Plus, it'd give the kids a winter project to work on and take pride in. The shop teacher is on board and said she was grateful to be thought of. City Park would pay, city/park would pay for the cost of supplies, lumber, screws, paint to build the garbage holders. Like say the wind over there, I have a garbage can over there, but it's not a tote. It's got a bag in it. You gotta pull that out.
Doors over there.
Pony Park.
What is the pony park actually? Is that
That's
The
The
one in the
Southwest over
Myers
here.
edition.
that one?
back over the Pony Tracks Park.
So, when you're talking about, holders for them, are you talking about like what's over at the Northeast Park that, it's like a big block with a hole in the middle and you open the door to pull out the tote?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we got outside the building.
Who maintains those though? Because I maintain the ones over at the Northeast Park when I feel like if it's raining, I'm not going to go and get them. So I think that having the dumpsters, even though it's costing money, nobody comes in, nobody goes in, the circle sanitation is not going to go through the park and empty those. They have to be pulled out to the curb for them. So
Who would do that?
yeah, because right now a dumpster, they'll still back up and, dump that, but they're not,
They're not gonna pull it out of the can.
nope.
If Jenny, can you,
This is just ideal, ideas rolling
Oh, yeah.
around, right?
you remember when, my thought on those garbage cans over at the baseball diamonds and the picnic park and that, the Public Works went over Monday morning and drug them out to the street?
No, it was the park employees that drug them out to the street.
Park employees did it at that time?
Yep.
And so we don't have any park employees.
We do need to get something, like, as far as that, too. We need to get something going on that, because, like, the kids can't play basketball over there. There's broken glass all over it.
Over where now?
It's basketball court.
There is?
Yes.
Hmm.
And the weeds are pretty yuck.
Yeah, I knew the weeds were doing it.
Yeah, and they're trying to overtake the sand part, part of it.
I've been kind of waiting for Keller to come and repave that this summer.
No, well, like where the sand is underneath the playset. And stuff, but, yeah, I don't know. Just based off of how the other park is, I think this is a great idea, and especially to involve, because I think that's a big thing to always, if we can involve, the school and children in any of the projects and stuff, I think that's amazing, to get people, to want to do these things. But until we have somebody that's actually going to come and pull out these totes and put them on the curb for the trash, it's, because it's pretty gross, I'm not gonna lie, like having stuff sit there for a whole week and.
Yeah, people use it as their personal, like, I throw in
Yeah.
diapers, everything is,
Yeah.
it's their fair game.
Are they talking the same size, like garbage cans that everybody's got?
Yes,
And that,
those are the totes that
Have a
they,
couple of them in.
and that's what's at the other park in a container?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
well, there's two, there's one smaller and one bigger, and then there's one round, like it used to be a 55-gallon drum of,
Plastic barrel.
yeah, and it says City of Surrey, and he's nice enough to dump it. I've seen the look on his face, like, what? And then now he's used to seeing it out there, but
I was just curious if they would actually dump anything other than the same size garbage
Mhm.
cans they already are.
Could be hooked right onto them.
Yeah, bins they just dump
It's
off
just
the
an
side of the
idea,
truck.
kind of just
yeah.
throwing it out there.
I think it's a great idea, but I think we just need to have something put in place to maintain them if that was something that were to be done.
Okay,
Okay, before we go on then, and Steve, you're not gonna like me on this, is that a park district deal? As far as the 47.50 a month?
Right, should it be, then that's why I have it on there. Should it be a charge the city pays for or the park district? Because it's been brought up to me. Why is it on the city bill? Well, the city pays for the garbage contract. So the residents pay for their garbage. Yeah, we pay for the garbage contract. Should it be a park district payment? That's up to you guys. It is a question mark on there for a reason. And that's another
No.
good question.
Yeah, I guess that would be your call, whether you wanted to do the 47.50 a month or bring the cans to the curb. I would imagine that'd be in a separate contract, like everybody's house is just on a separate deal. That's just a park property and the park payment. That's my,
If it's only May through September, I think you can just, I mean, the city can pay those 4 months and then at the end, they'll lose. And pay one time. I mean, we wouldn't want to lose the contracted price. And we would have to. I don't think it matters much how we. As long as you're willing to pay it. The city doesn't do the same as the city.
So would you prefer a dumpster or the totes?
Okay, so then,
yeah.
so do all the members here feel that it should be more of a park district payment than on the?
I think the whole thing is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jenny girl? Yep. You guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Their taxes went up plenty. Oh, I'm not afraid to say it.
okay, FYI, new payment in Silver Springs.
Oh, and that's just,
Pavement,
yep,
isn't it?
FYI, the new pavement, you see the
Oh,
pictures?
pavement?
Yep.
You got this.
Oh.
Oh, pavement. It is, sorry, guys, it's supposed to be pavement.
Who did that? Anybody know?
That's me typing it wrong.
No, this. That was included? I think we're all tired and we need to go home. Yeah, I'm right on it with you. Couldn't
One
agree
more
more.
thing though, guys, I do have to high level this.
Oh, my
If
laptop.
you guys want to understand this or not, but you need to, your city has 4 outstanding bonds and 5 matching assessment districts. And every month,
We don't have any of that.
we get
What are we talking about?
a payment from Ward County from the property taxes that come in. And those property tax collections, I'm just gonna say it very high level, according to the statements and the way they have been recorded, have not been appropriated correctly in the past years. That's what Kim and I have been really working hard on.
I have one thing before we adjourn. In the last month, I have been able to try the food at the Big Dog, and I am very pleased. The Philly cheesesteak is outstanding. And I've had pizza and wings from Devil's Fire. Couldn't be more satisfied with that either. So please patronize your local restaurants. They are worth it.
Awesome.
Okay, we're not done though. We do have a fence thing.
Oh, sorry, the fence thing.
Oh, yes, we got that too.
All right,
Oh, yeah. That's
There was more to talk about.
908 Surrey Avenue fence. They have a fence permitted and placed on their property. Thought that was their property. It turns out that it's 2 feet over on the neighbor's property, and the neighbor wants to build a fence on his property, so there's an attached quote. Holy, that ain't the right.
Yep, it is.
A quote?
Oh, yeah, they're super
Dakota
expensive.
fence?
No, backside 69,000.
Oh, no, that ain't the right one. Oh, thank God.
Oh, there it is, okay. They want $4,400
Yep.
to move the fence.
To move it 2 feet?
Yep.
Move it 2 feet.
To move it and put it back up.
Yep. I guess,
It is a property owner, but we inspected it.
yeah, we approved and inspected
Who is
it.
we?
I,
Just out of you
The
did it?
city,
me,
the city did it.
Um,
The city permitted it and inspected it.
And you were the building guy then?
I was. I signed the paper. So we gotta move it 2 feet. I guess my thought was that I would get Chris and I to do it ourselves without paying the,
Who's Chris?
Spalding.
Oh, I got him here
Oh.
too.
Oh, we're not talking about it. They're just.
if he would be,
It's gonna be one statement.
up to that, so rather than spend that kind of money. And being it was
I'm
my,
okay with that if he's willing to do it.
my mistake.
Yeah, if you're willing to do it, I guess that.
Yeah.
Is the city got the liability to go on someone's property?
Well, we could ask him and if he signs off on it, because he has to sign off.
I mean,
for
we have to
the-
take the fence off. Are we not gonna take, I mean,
You have somebody that's liable to it.
You have to be, yeah, you
Licensed.
licensed and all that stuff, I suppose,
So
insured.
Was the property marked improperly? Like, is this even our problem? Were the pins found and?
it's Chuck's problem.
Who
I'm
knows?
not positive about
Yeah.
that, though, if they were pinned wrong.
I don't know.
And now
The pins are there now.
It's been surveyed for the new lot. And so it's, but the side yards up there are 5 feet and this was 7. So we should have caught that on when they applied for the permit, but didn't. So,
Or do you say you had made a mistake, you admit it and ask them to fix it? That's also an option.
Well, that's what we're gonna do.
We did that when we were a poor city and said you have to fix it by ordinance.
well. And
Yeah, we made a mistake. People make mistakes.
a second item here, Legend Lawn Care is wondering if
No,
Public Works
let's,
is.
let's
Well, then we're not
finish
done
this,
here.
though.
Yeah, we gotta
Yeah.
figure out the
What are we
fence.
gonna do
Well, I
about
thought I
the
did.
Well, they started saying that you couldn't because of liability issues or something.
Well, if we can get them to
Can't
sign
tell
off.
you.
He's on the school board, Tyler.
Daniel. Daniel Tyler, he's on the school board. He carries a gun, I'm just telling you.
So yeah, you have options. You have security fence to pay to do it. You have,
Is this the only quote we have?
that's all we got right now, yeah.
I contacted them because they installed it.
Oh, of course you're gonna.
So we have, so
I wanna make sure this isn't like a Silver Springs thing. If they mark it wrong, we
Why?
have their pins, we are not
I know.
surveyors.
How do you
right?
find that out?
We don't find our, like, we don't require our building inspectors to be surveyors, so if they had it pinned wrong, this is not our deal.
right, why would this be a city?
This was, the house was, one that was, there was 4 owners, I believe, before it got built. Tom Klein started it and then he went bankrupt and then the next guy
And the house
went.
just continued to be built.
And by the
What does
time
that
that,
mean?
that
The house is
Taylor,
built on the
Tyler
rock?
moved in and
You guys wanna have my phone down here, because like, the roof line for the Daniel Tyler house and the house to the south of it, the line is right on the roof line. I seriously don't think this is our, like, we need to get involved in all.
house.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going too. That is an option too, where you just say, hey, maybe it was a mistake that was made if the pins
Who
were there.
surveyed it? Who pinned it? Do we hold any
Put your
liability
fence
at all?
up
Do
and
we
move on.
hold liability and
So
Put
the
your fence up
Tyler
and move
house
on.
is the gray roof.
Yeah,
mean,
that's
what-
the Tyler house is the top one. And the fence is between them.
I don't know. Last town I came from, we wouldn't be able to do this.
I don't see why this would be our responsibility at all. This doesn't make sense to,
I think if, because it
They would have to look into it more.
that doesn't,
So you admit to that and say,
No,
but
it's
you
not-
still
I don't
have
think it's the
to.
inspection, it's the pin. It's where the pins were. It's how the house is built on the lot, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So did we go over this or?
Just FYI.
Oh,
That's
it's just
FYI.
FYI, okay.
unless
Well,
someone
Chuck,
knows
you're
who
the
did
chief.
it.
What do you want to do with the fence? Just
Well,
tell
I
us it's not
guess
our
it-
deal, or what do you want to do?
It's gotta be moved one way or the other. Who pays for it or who does the
does
work
it?
is,
Does the city even want to get involved with it?
Can't they just put their fence up and leave it be? I
The
mean,
neighbor, the adjacent,
Yeah.
The neighbor wants,
the Picard
Those
house,
2
the new
feet
house
back.
is gonna put up a
the
plastic fence.
adjacent neighbor wants a fence.
And they don't like the wood fence that Taylors have. So they gotta move it over so they can put their fence right up against.
On the line.
Well, there's got to be 6 inches or 2 feet or whatever it is between the fences.
No, it doesn't,
No,
not up
you
there.
can have it online line if the neighbors agree.
yeah,
20 years.
I think look into why this would be our, there's no reason for the city to pay for this. But I can see why would,
How do you prove it though?
To me, the fence is up in this picture, and the property line is to the north of the fence. And I mean, this is not, if this image is correct, as it sits, there's at least a foot. I mean, I would say more like 2.
When was the approval given? The city should stay out of this.
yeah.
Okay.
this is a recent picture too.
Okay,
Yeah,
So it's not our problem?
would we send like a notification stating that this is what you have to follow, but
I make a
This
motion to
says-
adjourn.
Well, we got,
I'd
what
say
about
it's
this
I
between the
measured
property.
it
But
here.
they-
legend lawn care?
Okay, Legend Lawn Care wondered if they wanna, if Public Works would have time to
Well, so these are the
continue
ones that
mowing
want the
being it
fence.
started
Yeah.
This
raining.
guy, he wants to put it here.
And they're
Yeah, and
interested
look,
in
this is the
purchasing
property
some
line.
fertilizer for the,
Ah, okay.
Is his contract over in the end of August? Or did he go
yes,
through?
and I didn't get an invoice, so I haven't.
Or did he go through September or no, just
Nope,
August?
Just August.
They'll have to find time to do it then,
Yeah,
because we don't
they're
have anybody
fine
else
on
to do
this
it.
side, not on this side.
Do you guys want him to do it through September?
No, I have a comment about that.
No.
I'm sorry, but I don't think that the town has ever looked worse. There.
I agree. It does look very nice.
okay, do we
He's
have
done
a
an
motion to
amazing
allow Chris?
Oh, but you don't want him through September?
Oh my God, no.
Okay,
I don't. I mean, I
No,
can't,
I
I'm not
agree.
I
speaking for
agree.
everybody.
Public Works will have to find time to pick up or
Yeah, nobody,
Where he
like,
left
just
off.
recently, somebody mowed, I don't know if it was him that mowed next, or the park next to me, but we mowed half of it again before somebody came and mowed it, and
it wasn't Chris, was it?
I don't know, I was gone and then I came home and I was like, oh, look, somebody did it. But we started mowing it first again and then somebody showed up, so.
That's not the one up.
he likes to leave everything really
stuff, right?
tall.
Um,
4 inches is where he mows.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's.
yeah.
4 inches is fine, but those
That's
weeds
fine,
are.
but the
Tear
weeds,
down a couple notches, get that sucker to the ground, burn it out, we're good.
Did we adjourn?
it was
I make a
fine with
motion
that
to adjourn.
until
Why made a motion to
all of a
adjourn.
sudden it just.
Okay,
somebody quit.
A second.
No, you need to announce the motion.
well, we have a, we have a motion on the floor to adjourn by Councilman Ganser. Do we have a second?
I second.
Aiden seconded.
Hagan seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
I just need to
Awesome
stand
day.
up. Look
Okay.
at it.
I don't
I'll
want
take
my
your little
stuff
pack
like
of
that.
things and anything
gave
you
you
don't
mine.
want.
I don't have mine here, forgot it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
10:01.
Oh, you said it?
Well, you don't get another one.
Right? Ma'am, would you like this in here? What is this? Oh, your direct deposit?
The one thing we